So you found a skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Dapper Reacts number 51, Robert Carter, the Richard Carrier of Dinosaurs, which I know is not what it says on the thumbnail. Yes, that was intentional. So, I am joined, as usual, by the lovely Vishanti, who is in fact wearing some lovely feeders. Show those off, yes. That is because previously we got to Vishanti has her own private, if we get enough in Super Chats, then we get feeders. And I never remember what the number is, but that's okay, because I ask her afterwards and let her know if we got it or not. As you may or may not know, this is Dapper Reacts is basically, it's reaction content to videos, where we basically just debunk various bits of pseudoscience. It's not themed according to a particular pseudoscientist, like most of my Tuesday shows are. Where, we have Kent Hovind, or for Kent with Bent, and we have Matt Powell, or Raw Matt, for Matt with Matty. We have Charles Jackson for Jackson with Jackson. If I ever get Erica back on, we'll have Eric Hovind for Eric with Erica. She was tempted to come back on when I told her that we had an ad hominid as a drink trigger, so she'd have to come back on for me to explain it to her. Or she can just watch my back catalog, one of those things. But anyway, no, she's absurdly busy. So, in furtherance of the whole having good reactions and having fun, we have a bit of a drinking game. And before we actually get into it, first, Vishanti, how you doing?
I'm going to choose to answer a different question. I started class this week, and I'm very excited about it. And I would like to thank Cross Platform Adventures for sending me something off the wish list, and also another anonymous benefactor who sent me another item, little clips, but didn't include a note. So, awesome. Whoever you are, mysterious benefactor, thank you.
Yes, the wish list is linked in the description if you want to be generous and help Vishanti out here. Also, for $2, DM Artificially Selected Ceratopsian Wing says, Robert Carter is the Robert Carter of Robert Carters. Technically, this is true. So, we'll get into the drinking rules. First of all, if you want to play along and you want to play along with alcohol, that's great. If you don't want to play along with alcohol, if you want to play along with something else, that's also great. Tea, coffee, water, juice, soda, vape pen, I don't care. It's all good. Milk, sure, whatever. That being said, if you do play along with any intoxicating substance, please be careful and know your limits. Pace yourself. A drink doesn't have to be like a shot of hard liquor. It really shouldn't be, given how many drink triggers we get in this particular show. I mean, we've gone into the 80s. You would die. Don't do that. That being said, if you do in fact get intoxicated, don't operate heavy machinery. Don't drive a car. Don't text your ex. Myself, Vishanti, the Dapper Dinosaur channel, we take no responsibility or liability for any of those things. This is a play at your own risk sort of game. So, with that, let's go on to the actual rules. If Robert Carter says something that's so stupid we just kind of have to take a drink, we'll take a drink, which is our most common drink trigger, let's be fair. If Robert Carter actually gets something right, though, we'll take a drink. Now, there's a whole lot of medium room where, he'll say something that's wrong, but it's not so stupid that I feel like I need a drink. That's most of what he says. And yeah, it's a judgment call. What are you going to do? And McCoy usually drinks soda. Nice. I'm drinking rum and cola, so I guess there's soda in there. If Robert Carter tells a joke that doesn't land, or a story that we're pretty sure didn't happen, then we'll take a drink. That one is also a bit of a judgment call, but if it sounds like something that should go on r/that happened, then yeah, we're taking a drink for it, right? If anyone stands up and claps, or is instantly converted to Christianity after some absurdly stupid argument, yeah, we're taking a drink for it. So we'll also take a drink if Robert Carter mentions that political party from Germany that was in charge in, during and a bit before World War II. Robert Carter's not one to bring them up as much as most of the other creationists that we talk about, but it could happen. This previous Tuesday on Kent with Bent, oh boy, did we get a lot of that one from Kent. He went from embryology to abortion to school shootings to Hitler, right in a row, and it was just horrible.
When the stream gets demonetized, it's not my fault this time.
No, it was my fault. I know. You know, they always get demonetized. Every single one of my streams of the last, 6 months, bar 2, were automatically demonetized. I've got most of the monetizations back, but every single one just gets automatically demonetized. With those 2 caveats there. So we'll take a drink for that. We'll also take a drink if Robert Carter commits what we call the ad hominid. This can only happen once per stream. It probably won't because this is about dinosaurs, but still. If he mixes up the specimen Lucy with a larger taxon in the sense of saying we don't know anything about some larger taxon to which she belonged because of what's in her skeleton, or more importantly, what's not in her skeleton, that's an ad hominid. So for instance, if he says, well, we don't know if Lucy had an inline big toe because we don't have her feet. Okay, great. We have a lot of other Australopithecus afarensis feet, so it doesn't matter, right? We know, right? It's I compared it to let's say you found a modern human skeleton, but it didn't have feet. Do you think it had horse feet? Maybe. I don't know. I guess it's possible. But probably it had human feet because you've seen other humans that have human feet, and you've never seen a human that had horse feet. So you can be pretty well assured it was human feet and not big old horse hooves.
That's definitely a version of reverse centaur.
Yeah, just horse behind legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but a human everything else.
That's a satire, right?
No, that would be goat legs.
Okay, goat legs. All right, so it's a species of reverse centaur.
Okay. I lost my train. Oh, right. If we have a Trojan source, so if Robert Carter cites a source, and we check the source, and the source, rather than just failing to support him, actively contradicts him, then we will, we'll take a drink for that. Also, if Vishanti or I can predict what's going to happen, we'll take a drink for that. And then we also have a few ways for you guys to trigger drinks, one of which is if you super chat or membership milestone chat anything that has any of the kaiju emoji. So that's Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah. We'll take a drink for that. If anyone super chats or milestone chats anything to the effect that AIG, that's Answers in Genesis, are a bag of dicks, we will drink for that. Now, you do have to be a little careful, because YouTube will censor it if you just type in, AIG is a bag of dicks. You gotta be a little bit more clever than that, so. We'll also take a drink if people gift memberships. We'll take 1 drink per membership. That works for the 1, 5, and 20 level. At the 50 level, I'm just going to finish this drink that I have here and go get another one and add 50 to the drink counter. I'm not going to take 50 individual drinks and count them out. That's going to take too long. So, yeah. And then also, if Mothra or Ghidorah come by audibly, which occasionally happens, we will take a drink. And if I mess up in the production of the show, we'll also take a drink. So, for instance, if we come back from a break and I forget to either unmute myself, or I forget to unmute Vishanti, or I mute one of us accidentally, or something like that, or I put us on the wrong scene, anything like that. That's Dapper's a professional. We take a drink for that. I think I've covered all of them. If I haven't, then, I'll remember them as we go. And with that, I think we're ready for more Robert Carter. He was just telling us how big birds would take a decade to reach maturity, which isn't true. It's just something he made up one day. So I don't know what his point was with that, but Vishanti, are you likely to get more ready for Robert Carter in the next couple of minutes?
No.
Well, then that now counts as being ready. Everyone always says I'm not ready whenever I ask them that, so I stopped asking them that. Now I just ask if they're going to be more ready than they are now.
Now you're asking the right questions.
Yeah, the question that actually matters. Because no one's ready for more Robert Carter. I'm not even ready. But here we go.
And a regular condor takes 1 year to mature. By the time this guy's ready to, or this girl's ready to lay a single egg, there's 10,000 of the little ones.
So I'm not going to say that large birds don't take longer to mature, but what's the point at which ostriches reach sexual maturity? Let's find out. Let's see. 3 to 4 years. I do not think that bird is going to be that much later than ostriches, which are 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years. And here's the other thing, right? Size is not just a matter of reproductive output. There are environments in which high size is better than just having more and more kids, because overall, your size gives you other advantages. Like really big animals have a lower mortality. Dr. I'm going to go with Hogg on this one. Dr. Don Hogg, xenobiologist at large for $2, says GDP. Dapper is a gosh darn professional. Yes. So yeah, like if this were the case, right, then we just wouldn't have megafauna. Because I mean, think about it. We have things like elephants, right? Elephants don't eat some unique food that isn't available to other smaller animals, right? Many animals can climb trees or are just tall enough to eat the same foods that elephants do, like giraffes. Well, why do elephants persist even though these other animals can breed more quickly and things like this, right? Because it takes 2 years for an elephant to go from conception to birth, and then it's several more years on top of that before they can live on their own. Well, it's because they have such low mortality and they can actually chase away competitors from their food. So it's not just as simple as like, oh, well, small birds can reproduce more, therefore small birds will dominate. If that were just how it worked, we wouldn't have megafauna.
So genetically, large, slowly reproducing organisms, even within the same kind, will always be outcompeted by the smaller, faster reproducing versions of that kind.
It's funny then how like the pygmy elephants didn't take over, because that's a thing that's existed on this world. Many times there have been pygmy elephantids or just, small proboscideans. And yet the proboscideans we have now are not the largest ever proboscideans, but they're on the large side for proboscideans, right? Historically, most proboscidean species were smaller than modern elephants. So that's weird. There were even pygmy mammoths. Which sounds adorable. Kind of want a pygmy mammoth. Ever tell you that I almost bought a life-size plush mammoth in Dubai?
What?
Yeah, I went to a store at a mall in Dubai, malls in Dubai are quite a thing, right? And this is a store that's just full of life-size plush animals, and one of them was a woolly mammoth. And
of all the places in the world to get one, it would absolutely be Dubai.
Yeah. I mean, this was the mall that had a ski slope in it. They had their own artificial ski slope with their own artificial snow inside the mall in Dubai.
Just Dubai things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, I could afford this if I really wanted it, and I kind of do. But then I realized they're going to have to ship it back to my place in Washington State. And I don't have a place in that house to just put a life-size mammoth plush. And I can't leave it outside in Washington State across the sound from Seattle, where it's just going to get rained on and become mildewy. And I was like, oh man, the only reason I'm not buying this life-size plush woolly mammoth is I don't have a place for it.
I'm with Alex Markel on this one. How much did it cost?
I think it was close to $1,000.
Okay.
I didn't do it.
I honestly, I can't hate on that because the labor to make that.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the size and cost of materials. Like, okay, I get it.
And inside, it's not just like stuffing and like cloth. Like, there's an actual like wireframe skeleton in there to keep it upright and rigid and whatnot. Like, there's a lot that goes into making a life-size plush woolly mammoth.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Doesn't explain what happened to the dinosaurs necessarily, but
no, not even a little bit. And here's the thing: this principle he's purporting here, that large things are outcompeted by small things. We're taking a drink because this is dumb, right? But this principle were just a universal principle that just kind of worked, then we would never have had the big dinosaurs in the first place, right? Because there would always be a selection pressure to be small. And everything would be going smaller and smaller and smaller throughout the history of its existence, right? Why aren't all the whales tiny? Blue whales should be outcompeted by, little chihuahua-sized whales that eat krill. Why isn't that the case? Oh, is it that actually some food sources are better exploited at large body sizes, and krill is one of those? Because, krill are relatively diffuse, and to get significant amounts of calories from them, you actually have to have a very large volume of intake of the water containing the krill, and if you were the size of like a chihuahua, you couldn't really get that, and you would have to swim too long between meals of krill concentrations to... Oh my goodness, it's almost like there are also things that increase the body size of animals. Because remember, the largest known animal today that's ever lived is alive today. It's the blue whale, right? Why does it even exist if Robert Carter's right? How did the dinosaurs ever get to be big in the first place if Robert Carter is right? Because remember, before the flood, there still would have been differential reproductive success, which means there still would have been natural selection. So even on his own worldview, this can't make sense. This can't be all there is to it. Now, it's not to say that big body sizes are never a problem, right? Like, there's a reason that island dwarfism is a thing. Because, if you can't get enough calories to sustain yourself at a big body size, well, then the smallest members of the species are going to be the ones that reproduce the most. Because they're the ones that can sustain themselves. Anyway, here we go.
In the post-flood world, we had an ice age, climate change.
Oh, yeah, I like that. So, because creationists generally consider the post-flood world to be basically from, so depending on where they're from, it might either be from, the beginning of the Pleistocene on, or the beginning of, the Paleocene on. Carter, I believe, I don't think he's actually stated exactly which one, but either way, he makes the Pleistocene post-flood. So they have this idea that the entire Pleistocene, which is full of, dozens of cycles of glaciation and glacial retreat, interglacial periods, is just actually one ice age that lasted 200 years. Which means it would have been happening at some point during, I don't know, the life of Abraham or something? When does this occur? And how come there's nothing about this in any society's records? Because we have records going back farther than 4,400 years in some places. No one mentioned that time that the entire planet just kind of froze. So it's...
I also really love the fact that he just said, oh, well, after the flood we had climate change. I'm like, do you realize that you are in the minority of people in the young Earth creationist camp when you talk about climate change? Because most of them are like, nuh-uh.
Fake. Also, Grey Wolf Coder, yes, I did live in Kitsap County. Yep, I used to live in Bremerton. Way back when I was in the Navy. You know how hard it is to find housing for a Ceratosaurus in the Navy in Bremerton? Not easy.
Not personally, but I suspect it's challenging.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. And that was also during one of those times when there was a gas price crisis, so I was walking to and from work because I just couldn't afford the gas. That was fun.
We had famines and droughts recorded in the Bible. And dinosaurs, if they were big, they were always at a greater risk of extinction. However, I'm kind of saying that means that man lived with dinosaurs. Is there any evidence for that?
I mean, if by dinosaurs you are including birds, then yeah, plenty. But that's not what he meant. No. So yeah, there's literally no evidence for that.
So that's a big fat no!
How long until we get the top prom quote-unquote Stegosaurus that's probably just a pig?
At least it's not that AI-generated abomination that I saw.
Goodness. AI dinosaurs are some of the worst things that AI has ever done. Because at least...
This is just one more reason to kick off the Butlerian Jihad.
Yeah, seriously. Do we really need to wait for Serena Butler to have a baby only for it to be killed by a robot? Just to kick off...
We need to just, head this off at the pass.
Yeah, we don't need to let it get that far. Also, I'm pretty sure Elon Musk is already trying to make himself a Cymech, so we should probably not let that happen either.
Machine shall not replace man.
Well, yeah, there's tons of it. I'm going to give you my favorites.
Okay, here we go.
Some of the things some creationists say, okay, that might be wishful thinking, but this is two of my favorites. This is the tomb of a bishop who was buried in the floor of a cathedral in England 600 years ago.
Oh my goodness. This is the weird quote-unquote sauropods that have two heads. Because, of course, if there's one thing we know about sauropods, it's that they had heads at the ends of their necks and heads at the end of their tails. That's how animals work. But that's what's depicted on this art. And he's like, yeah, totally sauropods. It's like sauropods with two heads. Okay.
Dinosaurs weren't discovered until the 1800s. So 600...
Okay, so dinosaurs weren't described by, professional comparative anatomists and given a name until the 1800s. But there's good reason to think that people were finding dinosaur bones long before that. So, it's one of those things when do you count something as having been discovered, right? We'll say the okapi was discovered in the early 20th century in an expedition. It's yeah, but the people who lived in the Ituri rainforest knew about the okapi. And they were willing to talk about the okapi. And it's like, well, okay, but it hadn't entered the academic literature. Like, I mean, technically, yeah, it hadn't, because the people in the Ituri rainforest weren't participating in academic literature. As far as I know, they're still not really, because, you know, they're hanging out living in a jungle, which makes it hard to, you know, do that. But, like, yeah, it's also like, people are like, well, you know, Columbus discovered America. It's like, well, I mean, people had been living there for tens of thousands of years. Like, well, okay, but he didn't know it was there, and then he found out it was there. It's like, kind of, but he also thought he was in India, or maybe Japan. So, like, didn't even realize that. And yeah, like, you get into weird things like that, when it's like, when were dinosaurs discovered? Yeah. Aster Ryu for $4.99, it says, I will be joining the Butlerian Jihad. Also, AIG is an AI-generated third leg. Nice, I'll take a drink. And Mr. Cliff for £2 says, push me, Puliosaurus. Man, I have not thought about that movie in a while.
Wow.
Oh, man. How old is that movie? What is that, from like the 50s, 60s?
I don't know, I'm not a film expert, but...
Years ago, Bishop Bell was laid down in the floor and people walking across his tomb for a long time. You can see, turn on my laser pointer here. You can see that there's this brass band that goes around and parts of it are broken away, but in this brass band, there are these carvings, these etchings. There's a bat, there's a dog, there's a fish, there's a bird. Does anyone disagree with me? That's a pretty specific fish and a pretty specific bird, and that dog is...
Okay, look, I know we can't see these, but they're actually not all that specific. They're just kind of generic shapes that, yeah, are based on animals.
A collar. I mean, whoever carved these knew what he was carving, right?
And yeah, it's the double-headed sauropods. And I put sauropods in heavy quotes. And here's the thing, right? Do you know that the same person can depict a very accurate dog in a painting, and then can also paint a fantastical griffin with, I don't know, wolf teeth and a snake tail? They could just do that. So it doesn't make any sense to say this artist could accurately depict animals, which is iffy in the first place, and then say, therefore, all the animals they ever depicted were real animals. That just doesn't follow, and I think I fixed the non sequitur.
Non sequitur.
Here it is.
Your facts are uncoordinated.
Yeah. So.
This looks like two sauropod dinosaurs with their necks. You can barely see this neck. Their necks are wrapped around each other, and this guy has spikes on his tail.
Okay, Bobby. That tail also has eyes and a mouth. I think those are ears, Bobby. I'm just taking a drink for not noticing the eyes and the mouth, which is... That's inconvenient nuance right there, and it's unwanted entirely.
Unwelcome nuance.
Yeah,
Wow.
Unacceptable.
Like Spinosaurus.
Congratulations, you found a sauropod that also had spikes. Not that hard to do, but yeah, that doesn't help.
This is a very common trope in ancient artwork.
Jeez. They're lions. They have lion ears, they have lion faces, they have lion feet. They definitely don't have sauropod legs. They have big, well, they have small mammalian tails, small but long. They're long-necked lions. That's it. That's all that's happening right now. Unless you want to argue that sauropods actually had lion faces, which would be really hard to argue. Yeah, and lion tails.
Paws.
Yeah. This just doesn't work. Christopher Sanford for £20, thank you very much, says, as an Englishman, I really take issue with this. We have a long established history and fairly consistently established a national identity and narrative spanning over 1,000 years. One picture 600 years ago is nothing. Yeah, well, that's another thing, right? This is apparently from the 15th century, which is the 1600s. So is Robert Carter telling me that 400 years ago, there were spike-tailed sauropods wandering around England, and apparently there had been this whole time, and no one ever mentioned that? Like, we have the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, and they mentioned some crazy stuff, right? Like, you can find in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles one year where apparently dragons descended upon the land with much hunger. I read it myself in Old English. That's what it says. But no one mentioned that, just native to England were gigantic reptilian creatures with spiky tails. How come we don't have any archaeological evidence of them? Where are their bones? Right? People make bone into all sorts of things. People carve bone into various artifacts. They make bone into housing structures. If you had bones the size of a tree trunk, that'd be a great thing to make something out of. How come we don't have any sauropod bones from historical times? And I mean, the 1600s might sound like a long time on like a human lifetime scale, but in terms of like the scale of history,
that's
pretty
10,
recent.
15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Like, where is this evidence? Let's see. A boat captain for $5 said the ancient aliens guy used the same logic. Ancient people only depicted things they saw. Lol. And that's their 20th super chat or super honest live stream. Thank you very much. And yeah, no, it's true, right? It's like, oh, people don't make things up. They only depicted what they saw. When has that ever been true?
When was fiction invented, do you think?
Well, I mean, there's definitely texts in the Bible that are intentionally written as fiction, like Job, or if you're going to go with, deuterocanonical
the
stuff.
Bible's 100% true and literal and historical, so when did humans come up with the concept of fiction?
I think they always had it, really. It wasn't always an established genre like it is today, but yeah, it's always been there. Humans have always been making stuff up. Also, I reject the idea that nothing in the Bible is fictional. Most of it doesn't fit in that genre, but Job does. And I would argue that Judith does as well, if you're, accepting that as part of the biblical canon, which some people do. Because,
Many.
It actually starts off basically giving you a time and place for the story that doesn't and can't have existed, which would have been known to the people listening, which means that the Book of Judith essentially starts off, a long time ago in a kingdom far, far away, there was a war. And, it's a made-up war story. Also, I'm not too convinced that Tobit wasn't supposed to be taken as fiction, because, it's got a haunted vagina. And I don't... I mean, that's the main plot of the story, is how to unhaunt the vagina. Am I wrong? That is the main plot of Tobit. I am not wrong about this.
I like what Dr. Don Hogg, xenobiologist at large, says in the chat. God saying, were you there when I created fanfic?
Oh, that's going to be the next chapter of Job that we add, after having already added an extra chapter at the end to make everything happen okay. Oh, goodness.
These two dragons, if you would, with their necks
lions
twisted around. Now, these guys look like they're distorted. Well, consider Tenostrophius.
Yeah, sauropods with their very notable paws.
I'm taking a drink for a couple reasons here. First, Tenostrophius is not a dinosaur. It is a non-archosaur from the Triassic. It's probably a Lepiosauromorph. Second, it had sprawling limbs like most basal reptiles did, unlike these things, and unlike all dinosaurs. So, these things look even less like Tenostrophius than they do like a sauropod. And they're definitely not either. Right? These things look more like giraffes than they do like sauropods. Why isn't he saying they're giraffes? Well, because that doesn't confirm his bias. That's why. There's no good reason. He doesn't have any good evidence that these aren't lions, which they very clearly are. And all the things that they could actually be that might have existed, if he wants to insist that they would have to depict real things, he's not even picking the most likely things. But I think Robert Carter thinks Tenostrophius is a dinosaur. I don't think he knows the difference.
My goodness, thank you, cognitive trifurcation. It's in name, sauropod.
Actually, ironically enough, the word sauropod means lizard foot, and they have some of the least lizard-like feet of any animal I have ever seen, and it's like, how was this the name that stuck for this group of animals, is sauropod? It's like, and theropod basically means beast foot, which heavily implies mammal, but they have very bird-like feet, and not very mammalian-like feet, and I just do not get the naming conventions for those groups of dinosaurs. I'm just like, guys, why would you do this?
I mean, listen, I should share the thing that I learned last night, which I verified this yet, but I like the way it sounds, so I'm going to repeat it because that's what creationists do.
Mhm.
And I learned last night that canaries are the only bird named after a dog, or named after dogs.
In a very roundabout way.
Because, they were largely discovered on the Canary Islands, which were named after the bird. But when the Romans discovered what we now call the Canary Islands, they saw a bunch of dogs, and the root of canine and quina and stuff like that comes from the old Latin word for dog.
Yeah.
So they basically
Canis.
named it like Dog Islands.
Mhm.
And so canaries. How about that?
Also, DM artificially selected Ceratopsy wing for $5 says, if art is evidence, did cats in the medieval era have human faces? Did they have legs or noses or ears? I could go on. Yeah. That's another thing. I've seen medieval art of a dick tree. You seen that? Most people picking dicks off the dick tree.
What about Hieronymus Bosch's butt trumpet?
Yeah. Or there are numerous depictions of upright walking rabbits killing humans in medieval manuscripts.
Listen, it took a long time to win the war against the hares, but once we secured the safety of our kingdom, we reached a new era of peace.
Without the hares. So
All
yeah,
the hares.
it's one of these things where it's like, there's so much art in the medieval period, in ancient history, all over the place. That's like, if the creationists want to follow through on this logic, or the ancient alien guys, because it's the same logic either way, do you want to believe all these things? Do you want to believe that there were humanoid rabbit people going around slaughtering humans? Do you want to believe that dicks once grew on trees? Do you want to believe that there were people who didn't have necks and whose heads were embedded in their chest? Do you want to believe that there was a race of people who only had one leg?
Dapper. Consider.
Okay.
If there used to be dick trees, from which one could ostensibly pick dicks, what if the story of the fig tree in the New Testament that wasn't bearing fruit out of season, what if that was actually a dick tree?
And it was no longer dick season?
Yes, and it was no longer dick season, and if you walk by the dick tree and there's no dicks, and you get just, you know what? Curse you, you're never gonna mount to anything ever again.
I mean, that would certainly be weird. I have no idea what the implications are.
Maybe that's the point, like, that there was a curse put on most dick trees, and it just took a few hundred years to wipe them all out.
Oh, and now that we're in the modern period, the curse has fully taken effect? Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, why not? Inkboy for €2.
Because, there's a fungus that's slowly killing all bananas, but we've outran it for the most part.
Yay! Thanks for monoclonal crops, everybody. That's always great. Inkboy for
enjoy bananas while you can. Their
Seriously.
time is limited.
There will be another variety of banana that will take over, just like last time. We're currently on our second
the
version.
Will get that one too.
Well, yeah, eventually. But we're currently on our second version of commercially grown bananas.
If your grandparents or great grandparents piss and moan about how bananas taste like garbage now, it's because they really do compared to the older versions and the older species that really just didn't make it because those were sweeter.
It's also why artificial banana flavor doesn't taste like what you're used to as a banana. It was actually based on the previous version of bananas.
Yeah, not the Cavendish or whatever we're using now.
Yeah, it was the Cavendish is what we're using now. Inkboy for €2 says K9 equals dog, K10 equals kitty, and AIG equals a bag of dicks, and then we will take a drink for that. Thank you very much.
Oskatat the Fifth, or maybe that's V, I don't know, says the War of the Hares preceded the War of the Roses, as no one had yet realized that the hares kept the roses in check.
We're learning so much about English history today.
This is all, it's just falling into place.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. Goop23 for $2 says, did AIG grow on those trees? Yes, and we'll take a drink for that too. And Fearmonger, aka Mr. Evolution, for 69 secs, which is possibly the best amount and the best currency to super chat in. Says, oh my god, the AIG tree, and yes, of course, we'll take a drink for that too.
Yeah, it's just a bushel of dicks from the dick tree.
Yeah.
That's AIG.
Actually, I think we should petition AIG to change their logo to like a vector drawing version of one of those medieval art pieces of like a woman with a basket of dicks
That's a dick tree.
picking dicks off the dick tree. Yeah. I think
So
it would be a
listen,
much better
eat a bag
logo.
of dicks is just a really, really ancient insult. All right. There's a reason that began. It's because, you used to be able to eat a whole bag of dicks.
Yeah, you just get them from the tree. Put them in your
Just
basket.
get them from the dick tree. It's like, do you think dicks grow on trees? Well, they used to.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Now that all the dinosaurs are extinct, the dick trees went with them.
Just saying. I mean, if I was going to invent a mythological animal, I would have a hard time inventing something that matches with a known extinct animal.
Yeah, which is what...
Sounds like a skill issue, Robert.
Okay, to some extent, but also notice, this invented mythical animal doesn't match with an extinct animal, because it's very obviously not Tanistropheus. I'm gonna take a drink. I can't with this one. Man, if I invented an animal, it wouldn't match exactly with an extinct creature. So here's an invented animal that doesn't match with an extinct creature. Isn't that amazing? No, it's not.
Unless I knew what it looked like. This is a...
That's the top prom drink for prediction. Jeez, man.
Temple in Southeast Asia. The city of Angkor Wat.
Thanks, Robert,
It says it on there.
Cambodia,
it's at least
but okay.
Cambodia, but oh man, where I grew up, there were
the drawing that's definitely a Stegosaurus and not a hippopotamus.
That's probably not
because
hippopotamus either.
The spikes are definitely in that carving.
Oh, hey, Renee just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Thank you very much. Take 5 drinks, and then we'll see what pops up. Oh no, actually, the names are coming through. A Madman, Michael Narum, Bill Mueller, Caleb Draws Stuff, and Not a Summer Child were all gifted memberships. Thank you very much. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm with
4.
Ostacut the 5th.
And 5.
Breaking news. Imaginary animal doesn't look like a real creature. Ah!
I grew up in a place where a significant fraction of the signs around town were in Cambodian and English, or some of them were just in Cambodian. Because I grew up in the place that, at least at the time, had the largest Cambodian population in the entire United States.
We got one hell of a Cambodian population out here in LA. There's like a huge community in Long Beach, actually. So
actually, one of my good friends in
food.
high school was Cambodian, and she was also the only reason I ever went to any sporting event at my school, because she was angry that I'd never gone to see her soccer team. And to be fair, the girls' soccer team was the only team that was doing well. So she's like, you have to come see us play. I'm like, all right, fine. So I go out and I watch them play, and it's really, really boring. But she was very happy I was there, and I was like, all right, well, I might not do this again, but I'm glad that you're happy I was here.
Tesla Ranger's asking if Cambodians even existed when you were growing up, Dapper.
Well, so, when I say that, I mean like after I was, adopted into a human family to be kind of like shown how human society works so I could function within it in a reasonable capacity. So, I went to things like high school because, I had to learn all that stuff.
Which was the capital of the Khmer Empire. It was, at the time, the largest city in the world.
Actually not sure about that. I'm not saying it's not true. I just don't actually know. It's plausible.
It's an engineering marvel. But there's a giant drought, and that made the civilization collapse, and the jungle came and took over the city. But now that all the wars in Southeast Asia are gone, archaeologists have been hacking back the jungle.
All of the wars in Southeast Asia are gone. Oh my god.
Okay, there's fewer wars currently than there were throughout, like, the 60s and 70s. That's at least true.
Ooh, rest in piss, Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, seriously, screw that guy, man.
Wow.
Speaking of which, if anyone knows where his grave is, you could make sure he actually rests in piss. You know how there's like the eternal flame over in Arlington Cemetery?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should find a way to get an eternal piss fountain that always splashes piss onto Henry Kissinger's grave.
And Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan.
Fair, although Ronald Reagan was mostly just a tool of the people around him.
Nah, we're giving him full smoke.
Fair. I'm just saying, like, he was far too stupid to actually come up with any of this. He was just the face of a bunch of people. Oh, no, I mean, that's fair.
Doesn't matter. rest in peace to him too.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. I'm just saying, like, all those people who were like, oh yeah, this guy was so smart. He was the greatest conservative. Like, no, dude, he was a complete idiot.
No, he sucks.
He was a complete idiot who had as one of his main advisors an astrologist.
But hey, shout out old throat goat Nancy.
Aster Ryu for $4.99 says, humans don't make things up. So you're telling me long-lived or possibly dead foxes grow extra tails and can manipulate fireballs? Yes. Yes, that is absolutely
they're best
true.
friends with hedgehogs. What do you expect?
Mm-hmm.
Jungle and re-exploring this place, and they found the top prom temple. There's one particular door frame, and in that door frame there's a demon, there's a water buffalo, there's a couple of people, and
they all have a floral background, which is interesting and will come up later.
What's your first reaction?
It's a pig. It's probably a pig.
Or possibly a hippo.
Maybe a hippo, but there's no hippos there.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but then again, it would be inaccurate either way. But here's the thing, right? The only reason people say this is Stegosaurus is because of those little, like, humps around the back. You can kind of see here. But again, those were a continuation of the floral motif that happens at every step along that doorway. He's not going to show you the other ones, most likely. And further...
Dapper,
yeah.
What's the other, most memorable trait of Stegosaurus besides the dorsal plates?
I would have to say the Thagomizer, named after the late great caveman Thag, who was killed by a Thagomizer.
Yes, rest in peace.
Yes. And in case you're not sure what that story is, there was a Far Side cartoon where that joke was made, and then paleontologists were just like, well, that's its name now. And that's now in the literature. It's just like, that's a Thagomizer. Why? Well, because of the Far Side cartoon.
Thag, no! Yeah.
Which is, in case you ever think that, like, paleontologists are stuffy academics who don't have a sense of humor, just remind yourself. The Thagomizer.
They're colossal nerds.
Yeah, they're giant nerds, and they like cartoons.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Thagomizer there. But there's also many other things. Like, for one thing, Stegosaurus had an incredibly tiny head and a very long neck. This thing has a gigantic head and basically no neck. Yeah. The tail is drooping down. Stegosaurus tails were almost parallel to the ground the whole way down. There was very, very little droop, if any. But nothing about this, other than what is clearly a floral pattern, if you take it in context, makes this look even vaguely like a Stegosaurus. So I'm going to take a drink because I don't know if Robert Carter is just being stupid or if he's being dishonest. I could see him having never looked into this and just repeating it with just naively. But either way, it's really stupid.
CYH says that some actual paleontologists hate that word. Well, you know what? Those paleontologists need to get a sense of humor.
Look, you always get stick in the muds. And DM Artificially Selected Wing says, the late Thag Simmons, I have that comic on my wall. Nice.
I think one of my top 3 Far Side cartoons is the one of the aliens in a UFO, and they're like swooping through what looks like, Times Square, and all the people are running in terror, and the caption just says, "Yeehaw!"
Now, it's not a perfect stegosaur. Its head's a little too big, but no...
Its head's a little...
Oh
it's 6 times too big. I'm taking a drink. I can't with this guy.
Well, it's not perfect. The head's a little too big.
Oh,
My
also,
man!
Yeah, Vince O'Connor, who upgraded their membership to Amniote, says, Kissinger is buried in Arlington National Cemetery, Section 21, Grave 76A. Hey, is anyone out in DC? I'm not saying, drop trow and just go right there. Maybe bring a bottle because, you don't want to get arrested.
Hey, how far is Washington, D.C. by train from, Boston, let's say?
I don't know. I've never taken that train, but probably...
Let me know in the chat.
Yeah. I know I've taken a train from, near Boston to Montreal, and it's closer, but it's not that much difference, and it was done in less than a day. Alexander Zagrodsky for 10... Oh, this is a new one. PLN. Any ideas on that one?
I'll look it up.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
For 10 of whatever those are. It says AIG, Ken Ham, and Andrew Sterling, Bodie Hodge.
Oh, Polish Zloty.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Or Zloty. I apologize. I can't read the, Polish
Yeah, no,
alphabet,
me neither.
So.
Just stop it with the Latin alphabet, Polish. Just be a normal Slavic language and adopt the Cyrillic alphabet. AIG are Ken Ham, Andrew Snelling, Bodhi Ha, etc. Yeah, we'll take a drink. As for you for 199 the head's too big. You don't say. Yeah, it's way too big.
Okay, thank you, Jillian Wren. It's about 7 hours. Okay.
Also,
a little
here's the
far,
thing.
but alright.
I actually don't know whether or not you would get in trouble for dumping a bottle of urine on the grave of of Henry Kissinger. So, maybe check and don't actually go do that if you're going to get arrested. Because, yeah, don't.
Cognitive trifurcation. Poland cannot into Cyrillic.
They could, though.
But they can into space, so good for them.
Yay!
Is he standing on 2 legs, upright?
I'm seeing 4 legs because I'm very confident
Yeah, I was
that
seeing 4. What?
those legs are supposed to be mirrored on the other side.
He's got the... Well, someone just found around the corner another Stegosaur-like carving. It looks more like a Stegosaur than this one does.
Oh, cool!
Show
Hey,
it then.
I found around my corner a carving that proves that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. You don't believe me? Why not? I found the carving. There's no picture of it, but don't worry about that. Dude, bring the picture or just don't talk about it. I just don't care. I do not care about your alleged better Stegosaurus carving, because you know what? If it were true, the creationists would be showing it all over the place.
Don Giovanni says Poles are seething in rage of being anything like Russians. Like, yeah,
I mean,
fair, but
fair. It's not like they had a great time of it when they were under the thumb of Russia. But then again, I mean, there's no denying that Russian and Polish are both Slavic languages.
yeah. Whatever.
Instead of tying that identity back to modern Russia, tie it back to the Kievan Rus. Because remember, Kiev was originally the seat of the Rus Empire, which was a sort of major polity in like Eastern Europe / Western Asia for a very long time. And that's currently in what's now Ukraine. So just tie it back to that identity.
But it can't be a Stegosaur because they died out 65 million years ago.
Well, I mean, that's one reason. There's also the other reason that it looks nothing like a Stegosaur. Like, not even a little bit. Especially once you realize that those aren't plates. Those are a floral motif that's repeated all across this door frame.
Wow.
You ever seen pictures like this?
I just, man, Dapper, if
Looks
you
like
could
it's
go
from a
back in time.
creationist.
If you could go back in time. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find this in the chat. Because I was just reading something, it made me laugh, and then the chat scrolled and I lost it. Oh, there it is. Boat Captain, what if there was a carving of a T-Rex with a hat? But also, make it a Ceratosaurus.
Yes. Yes, of course, I am a Cerat. I still get people asking me about, like, T-Rexes if I am one. And, like, send me pictures like, how do you use a keyboard? And then the picture they send me is a T-Rex, and I'm like, I'm not a not a T-Rex.
Just strong bad with the boxing gloves all over. How do you type with those boxing gloves on? Like,
This is so false, it's unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, it is, because look, you've got Cretaceous and Jurassic dinosaurs mixed together.
r/self-aware wolves.
Yeah, but also I'm pretty sure this was a creationist production that was made by creationists for creationists.
No birds.
Okay, I'm gonna do something, and we're gonna see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna go to a fresh page of Google, just fresh Google page right here. All right. Oh, apparently it's the Google's doodle is for
Lunar New Year.
Lunar New Year. Yeah, it's got the dragon on it. All right, let me switch over.
Sorry,
which scene we're on. Okay, here's Google. And I'm going to type in, what's your favorite non-dinosaurian animal? Birds count as dinosaurs for this exercise.
Oh, tigers.
Tiger. All right, I'm going to go to images. Oh my god, look at this image of a tiger. Let me open it in a new tab. Hey, how come there's no birds? Birds live where tigers live. This must just be nonsense made to steal you away from Christ. Because there's no birds in this picture of a tiger. That's the logic we're going with here. People make pictures of things that don't have to include every single living organism that existed near those things.
Wow.
I don't understand what this argument is. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why aren't there birds in this picture of a Stegosaurus? I don't know, dude, because it's a picture of a Stegosaurus, not a picture of, like, Archaeopteryx. You can find pictures of Archaeopteryx if you want to. Most of them don't have Stegosaurus in it. I don't know what to tell you about that, man. Sometimes
Yeah,
people make
I'm with
pictures of one
T-Cat
thing.
on this one. There's no birds because the tiger ate them.
Well, okay, maybe. But, like...
Checkmate, atheist.
Alright, we'll go back to the main view, but, like... What even is this argument? This artist didn't draw birds, therefore... I've taken a drink for it. I can't.
Some awe in the chat says maybe the tiger is secretly a bird. Really makes you think.
It's a bird in tiger's clothing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, birds are fake, so it can't be a bird.
Yeah, birds aren't real, and the government's proven that.
Yeah,
Sight in
obviously.
plain sight.
Ever since Kennedy, all the birds have been fake.
No mammals, no grass. I was taught
No bitches?
in college.
The only thing, by the way, there that should even possibly maybe be encountering grass are, like, maybe that kind of T-Rex thing and maybe the Triceratops. But whatever.
Grasses didn't evolve until 35 million years ago.
As far as we can now tell, it's more like 70 million years ago there, Dr. Carter. So, oh my goodness. Why is science on the bingo card today?
Yep.
You can check that one off, because this is just, man, can you believe that science changes conclusion on the basis of new data? Yes, I can believe that, Robert Carter. That's what's supposed to happen. You being a PhD in marine biology should probably know that when you get new data, you change your conclusion. But then again, you're a creationist who will never change your conclusion no matter what the data say, and how do we know that? Well, because if you change your position based on the data, you wouldn't be a young Earth creationist. Because literally no data have ever supported young Earth creationism over any other idea.
Bingo! Yeah, Goopdo 3 and I are on the same page.
Oh,
thinking,
what did
no
he say?
bitches?
Oh, no bitches.
The specific meme of Megamind.
Yes.
The dinosaurs died 65 million years ago, so there's no way a dinosaur could ever have even seen a blade of grass. Except we have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of fossilized dinosaur dung piles. How'd you like this for a job? What do you do? I study dinosaur poop.
That is one big pile of shit.
We can't drink for a joke that didn't laugh, because it did land. But also, coprolites are cool. I mean, yeah, sure. There's the ick factor of, like, oh, this is a pile of dinosaur poop. But there's a lot you can learn from an animal's poop. Like, there's a reason that dogs go around sniffing butts. It's because there's a lot of information to be gained there. It's true. You know, dogs can tell you, like, how, like, the health of other dogs is going based on, like, how their butts smell. So there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from poop. Jacqueline Udhoff for 5 beaver bucks with their 3rd super on live stream says, thank you for making my Saturday morning errands on transit run so much better. I mean, the road pops help too. With a shrug and a clinking beer glass. Well, thank you very much for being here. And then DM artificially selected ceratopsian wing for $2 says, science becomes less wrong, therefore science is wrong. Yeah, that's the basic argument is, can you believe that science corrected itself? I guess that means we shouldn't trust anything science says. Like, no, that's the opposite of how that works. Nothing is perfect. Science isn't perfect. But the thing that makes science trustworthy is that when it realizes a conclusion was erroneous because of new data, it fixes that. That's what you should do in life, right? Even on a personal level. If you find sufficient evidence to make you conclude that you are wrong about something, you should change your mind. Because you know what is better than being right all along? Being right as much as possible, right? You should not just decide to stay wrong so that you can think you were right all along. No, just be right. It's much better. I've been wrong about many, many, many things in my life. There are many things that I used to think were true that I no longer do because I was wrong about them. That's okay. That means I'm better now in regards to what I know about and what I believe than I was before when I believed things that were demonstrably wrong. That's good. That's progress. That's an improvement. Or you could just be Robert Carter and snicker that anyone was ever wrong about anything, while yourself being demonstrably wrong about nearly everything. That's an option too.
And what you can do is you can cut them in half and polish them. And then look under a microscope and see what's in
Polish a
it.
turd. Wow.
I mean, did you see the Mythbusters where they tested whether or not you can polish a turd? And it turns out, yes, you can polish a turd. They got very shiny turds.
I have two favorite episodes of Mythbusters. One is the moon landing hoax episode, and the other one is where they got drunk for science.
Oh, is that the one where they were like just staying just below like the legal alcohol limit so they could see how much alcohol impaired them? Or is that the one where they were like testing
they were testing how impaired you are driving drunk versus driving like sleep deprived, and it turns out being sleep deprived is way more dangerous.
Okay.
But don't do either.
Yeah, no, that's not licensed to go drive drunk. It's just that it's much harder to test for. So how are you going to enforce a don't drive drowsy law?
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell sometimes what species it comes from. You can see what...
Actually, that's really difficult to do. So one of the problems with things like this, like coprolites, footprints, and everything, right, is you might have a known body fossil from an animal whose size, taxonomy, and ecology all match with the footprints and coprolites and whatever else you're getting. But technically, you can't, with complete confidence, assign one to the other, right? Like you can say, okay, this footprint matches exactly what I would expect for, say, a Saltosaurus footprint. Does that mean it's a Saltosaurus footprint? How do you know there wasn't another animal that could produce that footprint that you just don't have the body fossil of? You don't. And it's the same thing with coprolites, right? You can say, well, this is from the right time and right place and has the kind of food I would expect for a Stegosaurus. But can you call it a Stegosaurus coprolite? No, not really. It's the same thing when, like, when creationists complain, like, well, how come you haven't found the common ancestor? Like, we don't know if we have or not, because there's no way to know for sure if a pile of bones represents the species that is the common ancestor of two later species. It might be, but we can't tell for sure, so we don't put it there. Because scientists don't want to overstep in terms of their confidence, which, if you would listen to Robert Carter, apparently scientists are actually full of themselves and far too overconfident, which is the exact opposite. And if you want to hear us talk more about that, you can watch previous episodes with Robert Carter in it, because it's from the same talk, right? You only have to go back like a week or two. So, yeah. Anyway.
What the dinosaurs been digesting, and they found all the major family of grasses in dinosaur dung.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That is true. Well, actually, I don't know about every major family, but there have been a wide variety of grasses found in dinosaur dung. But there's more to it, and let's see if he gets the more to it. So we'll take a drink for it being true.
It's not anywhere else in the fossil record.
I mean, unless you go way later in the fossil record where it starts showing up. But okay, sure.
The fossil record is fickle.
Yeah, no, he's not going to go for it. Okay, so why is this significant? Why did I pause this and say, I think there's more to it, but he's not going to get into it? It's because this Mesozoic grass in coprolites is only found in the late Cretaceous and only in India. Why is that? Is it that in the pre-flood world, the only place with grass was India? That seems weird. Or maybe it's because that's actually where and when grass evolved, is in the Indian subcontinent. And one of the reasons why we don't find grass everywhere is because the Indian subcontinent, from a lot of the Mesozoic, was actually an island that you couldn't just easily get to, which is one of the reasons why they
crashed into Asia.
And the Himalayas are some of the youngest mountains on Earth. Because the contact between the Eurasian plate and the Indian plate is very recent, which allowed the spread of grass. How do you explain that on the pre-flood world, which was apparently just Pangea, which means that the Indian subcontinent was actually connected to Africa?
Reasons. That's how.
Yeah, weird, isn't it? And this
we need to take a break.
Oh, yeah, we do need to take a break. So I'll just say one quick thing. We'll take a break. This is another example where creationists refuse to even entertain the idea of biogeography. They have no explanations for it, and they don't even mention it. It just doesn't enter their brains. Alex Markle says, could you smoke it at the time? If it burns, technically you can smoke it, right? Would you get a positive effect from smoking grass at that time? Almost certainly not. I would not recommend smoking late Cretaceous grass. With that, though, we're going to take a quick intermission. We will be back in just a few minutes, and please, in the meantime, enjoy either commercials or the musical stylings of one Beethoven. Okay, we are back. We got a couple things to read, then I have my quick little commercial to go through, and then we're going to go back into the whole Carter thing. First, my unfinished chapter 1 for $2 says, Stegosauri pooped in big bags of AIG. Thank you very much. Christine V, I'm going to go with V instead of the fifth, says, Bahamut broke out of the prison of Dalamund and rained hellfire upon Eorzea and is somehow not the Richard Carrier of the Great Worms. That's Nidog. Fair enough. Alright, guys, so this is the quick little after the break commercial. This channel is almost entirely supported directly through support from viewers, whether it be through Patreon, whether it be through Super Chats, Super Thanks, Super Stickers, paid memberships, gifted memberships, any of those things. And so, if you are not currently someone who is supporting the channel, and you are interested in doing so, we have some ways to make it easy. There's first the Patreon. Patreon is the place where I get the highest cut of that money. So if your big concern is supporting the channel, then it's the one I would recommend the most. But it gives you access to the super secret Discord server that's just for supporters, which is so super secret. I tell you about it in every single one of these live streams. But it is exclusive. I will say that. It is an exclusive Discord server. You do have to be a supporter to get in there. It gives you access to early access. I just put out an early access video today. There's a brand new 52-minute video that you could watch today. Now, I'd recommend you watch the previous two first because it's a part 3, but still, it's there right today. It happened this morning. I think it's now over 6 months worth of stuff that's on there. The video that I put out today will probably not come out until August. That's how much early access stuff there is.
Where's the Bitchmade timer at today?
We are almost at 300. We have 23 hours until we get to 300 days. Okay, so there's the Patreon. There's channel memberships where you get almost the exact same stuff, but you also get your green name, you get the badge, you get the channel emojis. All that stuff is cool. There's also a wish list for myself. There's a wish list for Benthoven, and there's a wish list for Vishanti, all linked in the description. Vishanti's comes first because that's how I did it. I don't have it because... but also, Fate to Grey watching Bigfoot Go gifted a membership, and it went to Dr. Don Hogg, Xenobiologist at Large. Thank you very much. And congratulations, Dr. Don Hogg. Everyone, send tetrapods and sessile tunicates. No pelagic tunicates. I see you out there trying to send pelagic tunicates. Don't do it. You know it's the wrong thing, but here's a drink.
Nah, I encourage people.
Yeah, that's because you're wrong. No.
Pelagicies in there.
No pelagic tunicates. Pelagic tunicates are the worst. They don't know their place. They should be on...
Pelagies!
They should attach to a substrate, and then they should suspension feed from
being all
there.
pelagi. Just sipping around, just whoop.
Nope, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Also, if an
Who made you the Pope of Tunicates?
The St. Peter the Tunicate. who elected me as the successor of the See of Ocean Rome.
Okay.
I'm the Tunicate Pope of Ocean Rome. That's what happened.
Too bad that's only limited to the Mediterranean. Boom!
No, Ocean Rome has ecclesiastical jurisdiction over all of the ocean. Just like Land Rome has ecclesiastical...
That might be its proponent, position, but after the Great Schism...
Oh...
the Pacific decided, no, you don't actually.
They're under the sway of Ocean Constantinople, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yep.
We're diving deep into weird versions of Christian history now.
And the Indian Ocean is basically Alexandria. It's like Ocean Alexandria.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it couldn't be also the Mediterranean.
Well, I mean, it also kind of runs into the Red Sea and...
Oh, so it's close to the Mediterranean. Got it.
Because, it's like the eastern coast of Egypt, but...
Okay.
Saying.
So also on Patreon, you can go annual for 15% discount. So, if you want to join the Patreon for an entire year, you can do it for less than $11 US. But if an annual or a monthly thing isn't your thing and you want to do something else, there's a merch store where you can get shirts, stickers, mugs, blankets, pillows, baby onesies, all sorts of stuff. There's actually a new design that was recently added. You can get the Mecha Dapper, the red robot version of Dapper. is now available on my Teespring store. It's linked in the description. And then finally, the wishlist is there. If you want to just... Most of the wishlist stuff, I'll be honest, it's mostly recreation stuff. But here's the secret about recreation. If I don't take time off, I will get burned out. And so sending me something for recreation will help me with that. So you might think, like, well, how is sending Dapper Dinosaur an RPG rulebook going to help support the channel? Believe me, it does. It actually helps a lot. If I don't have those times to take breaks and like play an RPG or any of the recreational stuff that I have, like, this channel wouldn't exist. I couldn't keep it up because I'm at a pretty blistering pace with video production right now. So anyway, but if you're not inclined to do any of those things, if you can't afford it, please don't send me any money. Please don't buy me things if you can't afford it. Please, really, I do not want your money if you can't afford it. But either way, whether or not you can, please like this video, share my videos, watch a few of my videos in a row, because that also helps. So anyway, with that commercial out of the way, we have one more thing. AIG is a bag of pelagic tuna kid who's been a member for 10 months, is at the Tetrapod level, says, "We love you, Daps, and hugging you while swimming." Oh, gross. I don't want to be hugged by pelagic tuna kids. Ah!
That's just so
creepy.
That's so bigoted of you, Dapper. Like, you really need to get over that land bias.
They look like queer marital aids designed for males to use, right?
And you know what? Good for them, because males deserve to have pleasure too.
Oh, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to have marital aids designed for males that exist. I'm just saying I don't want to get hugged by like 40 of them at a time.
Who said there's 40 of them at a time? Maybe one just goes up and goes boop right on your cheek.
Because most pelagic tunicates are colonial.
Most of them, but maybe they send a delegate to give you one.
A lone pyrosome swims over, jets over.
Just, it's the representative for the body of pelagic tunicates. And it says, hey, on behalf of pelagic tunicates, boop.
I don't like it. All right, here we go.
It is an imperfect preservation of things that we know live together.
True.
And yet, until recently, we had no evidence that they actually did live together.
Yeah, which is why before we were like, well, we don't think these things live together because we have no evidence of it. Then later we were like, oops, okay, we'll change our mind based on this thing called new evidence. Hey, you could do that too, Robert Carter. You could. Everyone's sending pelagic tunicates. It's so gross.
Good.
I'm gonna replace that emoji with I don't even know what.
Because we now know something different. No, this is picture should be radically different. This is totally wrong.
Okay, but dude, I'm pretty sure you guys drew it. Not you personally, Robert Carter, but like, I'm pretty confident that is a creationist drawing of dinosaurs. So like, way to create your own straw man drawing that you can now just say no.
We have found as many species of mammal.
Okay, hold on. Mesozoic squirrel. Okay, this is really inconvenient. So we might get some Trojan sources in here. Okay, so we got quotes on Mesozoic, but whatever. We're going to try searching nature 444:889-893, I think is what that says. And then it says...
Amazing. Tim Keller for $1.99 says 30 to 50 feral pelagic tunicates are swarming you.
Ugh. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, so here is the article that is referenced. I'm going to link the PDF in the live stream, so if you want to, you can check it. Oh, and I'm also seeing Crush with a Croxagore for $5 says AIG. I don't know what language that is, but it also says Kajiti. Is this a Elder Scrolls thing? AIG Vaba Ovep Bartana Agara Kajiti for AIG is a bag of Warpix. Oh, you got to tell me what the language is because I have no clue. But I'll take a drink for it.
Oh, my children! Okay, all of the pelagic tunicates in the chat.
All right, so here is the paper, which I linked. A Mesozoic gliding mammal from northeastern China. So already, we're not hearing anything saying that it is a squirrel. But let's see. Systematic paleontology, mammalia, yep. Volaticotheria, okay. Volaticotheridae, this is Volaticotherium antiquus, okay. Comparison and affinity. In addition to its unique patagium and so unique, okay, so it's not the same as a flying squirrel, and skeletal features, the cheek teeth of Volaticotherium antiquus differ from those of any known Mesozoic mammals, except that they resemble and probably derived from those of Triconodonts. So not a squirrel. Triconodonts are entirely extinct, as are all of their descendants. So let's just take one drink for a Trojan source. No, there were no flying squirrels known in the Mesozoic. This isn't one. Okay, so there's one Trojan source. Let's see if the next one is a Trojan source, if I can actually read the damn thing. Hold on, let me move this window so I can... Okay. Oh, I'm typing in the wrong place. museumvictoria.com/au another / oh no, it's .au.com.au, okay. ABOUT/MV-news/ or 2008/ swimming with dinos. Do we have it? No. Okay. Let's just try typing that into a Google. See what happens. Do a Google search. Looks like there aren't any great matches. Interesting. All right, let's try searching Museum Victoria swimming with dinosaur. Walk. This doesn't seem to be a real source. Dinosaur walk. Let's just try adding platypus in there. Let's see what happens. Nope. So it's not a Trojan source. It just seems to be a source that no longer exists. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that when he gave this talk, it may well have existed, but it seems to no longer be on the internet. Oh, it's Ta'agra from the Elder Scrolls. Good guess. Okay. Is that actually a language, or is that just like a relex? Because I know that the dragon language is actually a relex of English, which you can see pretty easily by looking at the official translation of the theme song for Skyrim, and then looking at the actual translation. There's a 1-to-1 word correlation, and the rhyme works both languages too. And it's like, ooh, yeah, that's just a relex. Roasting a Keller for $1.99 says, oh, Pelagic tunicates do look like Tenga devices. Yeah, they really, really do.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you could see through sessile tunicates, they would also kind of look like that. But they're not going to swim up and hug me in a big bunch. All right,
they can't get good.
Badger like 130 million years ago. Okay, this is... I can't even read that. Can you read what that says?
I can't see your screen, bro. Like, I don't...
I'm looking at the video you're also seeing.
Oh, no, I can't. It's too small.
All right, well then, in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and point out that I do happen to know that all of the alleged modern animals living in the time of dinosaurs, none of them are actually the things that are purported, right? It's not actually a platypus, it's not actually a badger, it's not actually a beaver. What's actually happening is you're having groups of mammals that are now extinct. They're not even, in some cases, even crown mammals. They're not even technically mammals, but they're mammal-like. And they have converged onto niches that modern mammals occupy, and therefore have superficially similar morphologies. Well, yeah, cross-platform adventure says Triconodonts are extinct except for your butler, right? Yeah, my butler's a Triconodont, but here's the thing, right? Like, if I say Ceratosaurus is extinct, technically, I guess it's not. But come on. It's not like we're going to get a whole new population of Ceratosaurus running around, so we're effectively extinct, and I'm okay with it. Strawberry, visible taxidermy glue vein. Oh, thank you. Says, dang it, Dapper, why can't you stream when I'm awake? I don't know when you're awake. Just be awake all the time. No sleep. Be like one of those subjects of the Russian sleep experiment. That'll go well for you.
One of my favorite creepypastas.
It's one of the classics. I don't consider it to be one of the best, but it's one of the classics. I think it goes a little overboard in some of the weird gore stuff, and it like loses some of its plausibility.
Yeah, I mean, it was clearly trying to be a little edgy with that and stuff, but man, up until like the over-the-top gore, it's just so good. I love it.
Yeah, it does build a nice atmosphere. I like the sort of like almost epistolary type format where like it seems like it's like all the text is sort of in world, it's diegetic text. But the problem is that the diegetic text then kind of devolves into like nonsensical weird gore that doesn't make any sense, and you're like, oh. Yeah. Okay, well. Anyway, here we go.
Mushroom,
I can't hear him. Did I mute him accidentally? I did. How did that happen?
Species of dinosaur.
Oh wait, Dapper's a professional. Dapper's a professional. I muted Robert Carter.
Also, you guys probably won't hear it because my noise gate on my microphone is set pretty high, but it is Lunar New Year, and I absolutely would have not forgotten that because there is a cacophony of fireworks exploding outside of my window right now.
All right. I can't hear it, actually. I'm pretty impressed.
It's... woof. Woo.
Well, I feel bad for all of the veterans with PTSD and the dogs. But also,
it's going to be like this for the next week. So,
yeah.
RIP my sleep cycle.
Get earplugs.
I have noise-canceling earbuds in right now, and I can still hear the fireworks. It's also through, like, I have blackout curtains that work really well as, like, sound muffling drapes.
Doesn't matter, huh? Well, hey, you just get to play...
With all of that.
You get to play one of my favorite American pastimes. Fireworks or gunfire.
This is what I get for living in, like, one of the biggest Vietnamese diaspora neighborhoods. If not, it's actually the biggest diaspora outside of actual Vietnam.
Wait, does it count as a diaspora if it's in Vietnam? Isn't that just Vietnam?
Well, I meant to clarify the one of the biggest. It's the biggest diaspora population.
Okay, got it.
It's the biggest population of Vietnamese outside of Vietnam.
Got it.
So for that one person in the chat who's in Vietnam, Chung Nam Moi.
There you go.
Things that look like flying squirrels.
Yeah, things that look like, but aren't.
An identical thing to a platypus jaw.
Okay, I can tell from here that has teeth. Vishanti, would you care to guess how many teeth a platypus has?
0?
Yes, you are absolutely right. The platypus has no teeth. I'm taking a drink for this jaw that obviously has teeth being identical to a platypus jaw. Oh, hello, Tornado in a Junkyard. How you doing?
Something that looks like a badger, and he has a baby Stegosaurus in his stomach.
Okay, badgers might be the most generically mammal that has ever mammaled. The only thing that is significant about the skeleton of a badger is basically like, yeah, okay, I guess modern badgers have like the modern carnivoran tooth formula. But other than that, it's like the most boringly basal mammal skeleton that you could imagine. Saying something looks like a badger is basically just like saying, it looks like as generic a mammal as possible. It means nothing. As to Nihon Shoki is a historical document review for $4.99 says, what's that? Animals that occupy a niche have adaptations for that niche? How can that be?
What?
I know.
And how can these things be? Because he is the Wizard Haderach.
Vadim Smovsky Radchenko says, don't they have pseudoteeth when they are little? I think that's true, although I am not willing to like stake my reputation on that. I would have to double check to be confident. But either way, they definitely don't have fully developed adult teeth as adults. Yeah. So, and Cognitive Trifurcation points out, if they thought Archaeopteryx was a bird with teeth, I can see them not caring about platypus teeth, and that's fair. But if you were to say, okay, look, Archaeopteryx is identical to, and then mention a modern bird, I think it would be fair to point out that because it has teeth, it is not identical to that modern bird. Like, you could say, Archaeopteryx is just identical to a modern magpie. At which point I would say, do magpie have teeth? Because Archaeopteryx sure does. And no, magpie don't have teeth. I can promise. Strawberry Visible Taxidermy Glue Vein who's been a member for 9 months and is at the die absent level. Thank you very much. Says, life has been kicking me in the balls lately, but Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum just got back together, released a new single, and is going on tour, so at least it's not all bad. Well, that's great, and I hope that, life is, stops kicking you in the balls, because, granted, my gonads are inside my body well, as is sane, unlike, a lot of mammals who for some reason like to have theirs dangling out, but I understand that would probably be very painful. It's almost like, hey, maybe instead of having sperm that require a lower body temperature, requiring you to put your gonads outside of most of your body, you could just have sperm that work better at higher temperatures. What do I know?
Mushroom.
Is our audience even old enough for that?
Well, yeah, because they're putting it in the chat.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay.
It's a snake!
Okay, fair enough.
A beaver-like creature.
Yeah, beaver-like. So a semi-aquatic mammal-like thing from the Mesozoic, from the Jurassic, basically. Okay, cool.
Something that looks just like a hedgehog.
Then why does it say hedgehog-like?
And hedgehogs have unique hairs. This animal is preserved with his hairs. He has hedgehog hairs.
Or does it just have quills? Because that's what hedgehogs have. They just have quills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Hedgehogs live with dinosaurs?
No, because if they did, then you would just say hedgehog. And actually, I might be able to read this one. Before I couldn't, but I think maybe like something about like the auto exposure setting changed. Let's see what I can find here. Nature 526-330-384.
Jillian, that's A++ parenting. Jillian says that their 10-year-old is singing it because I showed it to him. So
Nice.
Good.
This is just giving me stuff about Akron, Ohio. Okay, let's put that in Google Scholar. I don't think Akron, Ohio is what I'm looking for. Nope, nothing. 526-384-2019. Yeah, that's what his reference says. That's not bringing up anything. Let's see. Let's do Nature 2019 Hedgehog Jurassic. A Jurassic mammaliform and the earliest mammalian evolutionary adaptations might be it. Of course, it's not actually a mammal. If it's it's probably not a mammal, which includes mammals, but also many other things. No, this is ankle features. That's isolated teeth, so that's definitely not it. It says hedgehog. Full origin of tribal sphenic mammals in 2001. All right, we're gonna set a custom range. We're gonna go from 2019 to 2019. See what happens. Crystal Palace. Nope. Put nature in quotes. So it has to include the word nature. Sonic Hedgehog. Nope. Gradient for Sonic Hedgehogs. Nope. Obligatory Nocturnalist. Archaic mammals. Nope.
Tornado in a Junkyard says honey badgers are not average mammals. They're little man syndrome in the form of chainsaw with legs.
I mean, fair, but when I was thinking of badgers, I was mostly thinking of American and European badgers and not African honey badgers, to be fair. So, yeah, I can't find what this reference is. Hey, Carter, you could real references. All right.
This is for you.
Oh.
Tornado in a Junkyard then goes on to ask, also, who is Sal and why is he bitch made?
Oh, goodness. So Sal is Sal Cordova, a young Earth creationist who has been on the channel a few times. I've been on his channel at least a few times. And he's buddies, he's pals with John Sanford. Said that name right, didn't I?
I think you meant to say John Sanford, but yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I probably did. Anyway, I made a video about John Sanford, or actually a video series. And Sal, he would be there to watch it. In fact, I believe he actually said that he would be there for the premiere. He wasn't there for any of it. And then, while not watching it, he decided to make more than one response video to it, which is hard to do because he didn't know what was in it. which is why he didn't actually respond to anything I said in it. He responded to things I didn't say. And yeah, I consider that to be poor form. And so by basically not even showing up to watch the stream, or well, the series that he said he would watch, I decided he was bitch made. And so we've had a timer that is going since the time that first video premiered. And Vishanti helped me set that up. Well, okay, let's be fair. Vishanti set up the timer for me entirely and then gave me the URL that links to it. I don't want to say, like, Vishanti helped me, like, you were there coaching me along as I was doing most of the work. That's not what happened. Vishanti did all
I mean,
of the
you
work.
did give me some input, like, about
The time of day.
whether it should have a transparent background or something.
Yeah,
what,
okay.
like, date we should set it to, but yes.
So I did provide some information, but you did virtually everything. So, and I am planning for when it hits 365 to have a thing, right? For the 1 year anniversary of Sal being bitch made. And all Sal really has to do to prevent that is just let me know that he's watched it and provide even a modicum of evidence of that fact.
We literally could have a live react to his response video. We could have greatest hits from the John Sanford series. We could do all kinds of things.
Lots of things. Although we did actually already do a live react to his response with Dr. Zach B. Hancock on. Because his response was basically just genetic entropy. And Zach B. Hancock is a evolutionary biologist with a focus on population genetics, which is what genetic entropy is all about.
And he made, like, at least 2 responses, right?
Oh, Rosanna Keller points out something that, 366, not 365. It is a leap year. This month has a 29th day in it.
You do.
Okay. That's a good point. What if I wait 365 days plus 6 hours?
Ooh.
So that way it's 365 and a quarter days, which is about how long the year is. Plus, it would mean that I could have the thing go at, 6 p.m. my time instead of noon my time, which might be preferable to me, depending on what day it is.
Yeah.
We'll discuss.
And notice the dates here. MA means mega annum. That's millions of imaginary evolutionary years ago.
Just drink.
MA. The dinosaurs supposedly died out 65 million years ago. Badgers predate the dinosaurs.
No, they don't. Okay, look. It's a deleitherium, right? Yeah, it's a deleitherium. It's not hard to figure out what he means. So what's a deleitherium? Lived in the Maastrichtian, which... Oh, no, is that like badger-like? Oh, so that's not it. Okay. Actually, I don't know what it is. But anyway, a deleitherium is not a modern mammal. Although I thought that's what it was, but now I'm actually confused as to what this is. Hey, if anyone can actually figure out what he's talking about, let me know. But carnivora, there's no evidence it evolved until well into the Cenozoic. And this, unless he's going to give me a source on this, which I can only kind of see. Maybe I can try. NHM, I think, /us/news/2005-jan/news_3711, I think, 11 HTML. See what happens if I type that in. Sorry, that's a dead link.
Oh.
That's handy.
Love that.
Let's try Badger 130 million years ago. Okay, something. This is from nature.com, but it's their news. But, oh, of course, I have to. Look, I'm going to go ahead and pay the, definitely, paying the $199 a year right now. Definitely not going to sci-hub.se, try to unlock an article for free. That is not what you should do. That is not okay.
Yeah,
especially
definitely don't
since
do
I
that.
don't think it would work on this in this case. New fossil shows prehistoric badger and dinosaur Business Insider. Okay, that actually is it. Remember how we said there was a Stegosaurus inside the belly of this this quote-unquote badger?
Okay.
You might have to look at the actual stream for this, but I'm going to share the actual image of the fossil from Business Insider. Let me just let me know if you can see that there, Vishanti.
I mean, I'm not watching the stream, and I can only
okay.
see what you're sharing to me, so...
Well, on screen is two animals locked in what looks like combat. One of them does in fact look like a Stegosaurus. The other one is indeed a mammal. It's definitely not a badger, I can tell you that, because look at those gigantic, I'll
take your word for it.
fenestrae behind the orbits, which modern badgers do not have. They have zygomatic arches, as do, modern placental mammals broadly. Also, that Stegosaurus is not inside the smaller mammal. So let's see. Badger-like mammal.
Smaller mammals, they're bigger on the inside.
Seriously. New paper. Repenomanus robustus. Here we go. Let's just double check. What's Repenomanus robustus? Because I'll bet it's not a carnivorous mammal. Oh, look at here. Unique fossil cap. Yep, okay. Repenomanus. Just real quick. Triconodonta. Hey, remember that time earlier when I said triconodonts and all of their descendants are in fact extinct? Yeah, okay. Here's a skull. Yeah, that's not the skull of a carnivorous.
The firecrackers outside is...
Sorry. Let's just do a quick search for Repenomanus. There we go. Robustus. Let's see if we can find the actual paper. Actually, you know what?
It sounds through my earbuds like super heavy rain on a tin roof.
Wow.
That's how loud it is.
Postcranial morphology of that's from a book. Large Mesozoic mammal fed on dinosaurs. That's let's see. Yep. Large small Mesozoic mammal represented but substantially complete is Repenomanus robustus, a triconodont mammal. Hey guys, you know what badgers aren't? That's right. They're not triconodonts. So guess what? Now that I can actually read that text, we got another Trojan source. Thanks, Dr. Carter. So when Dr. Carter says that badgers predate are living with dinosaurs, by which he means non-avian dinosaurs, he was doing that thing called lying. Can you believe it? Weird.
Platypuses predate the dinosaurs, beaver-like things. What?
Also, that's not predating the dinosaurs. 130 million years ago is not predating the dinosaurs, Robert Carter. The dinosaurs evolved in the late Triassic. That's way before 130 million years ago. In fact, remember that time you said it had swallowed a Stegosaurus, which was a lie, by the way. It was fossilized in combat with a Stegosaurus. By the way, in sediment that could not have been laid down by a flood, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, that's not predating the dinosaurs. If I said, oh, hey, humans predate dinosaurs, and my evidence of that was a human inside of a dinosaur stomach, that would be really bad evidence. Strawberry Visible Taxidermy Glue Vein for $5 says, am I dumb, or wouldn't genetic entropy be better described as genetic atrophy, or is there a chance creationists are actually using entropy correctly? So it's a... Okay, I'm going to be fair to Sanford and say that he intentionally created a new term, and he wanted to analogize it to entropy to emphasize the inevitability of it. Genetic atrophy may have actually been a more accurate term, but he was not trying to say that it was directly the same as entropy in a thermodynamic sense. He was using that explicitly in his book, Genetic Entropy, to connect it to the inevitability of things like entropy. So that's why he did that, and you could certainly make an argument that other terms would be better. But, yeah, he's not trying to say it's actually the same thing as thermodynamic entropy. So I do want to be fair to him.
And again, this is me in my role as the resident hater, I'm not as willing to be charitable to John Sanford. I think that there is a large chance that he was using entropy as a way to make people think of thermodynamic entropy, because he's a dishonest hack.
Well, no, he was definitely
But,
trying to make
hey.
them think of it. But I'm not sure that he was trying to make them think that it was a directly analogous or part of that thing.
Look, I come from the George Orwell school of language, wherein like people use language not for its meaning, they're using it for the emotions that it invokes. So
Are you saying that
I feel
John
like his
Sanford
usage
is
of language
plus on
is
good?
dishonest. So, but
You heard it here first, guys. John Sanford is plus on good.
perhaps double plus on good.
Well, that's getting
But
extreme
hey,
now.
look, the person who might know him the best, Sal Cordova's welcome to prove me wrong or provide evidence to the contrary. All he has to do is watch that video and respond.
Actually, I'm willing to just have him send me evidence that, in fact, John Sanford's a blithering idiot, because that's the only other option he has besides John Sanford being a liar.
Nah, I'm petty. I want him to watch your video first.
Well, okay, I mean, I do want that too.
Because even after we
That's
hit
not what I
here,
would-
even if you take that timer down, I'm still going to run it.
Well, I mean,
Keep it running.
it's just a URL. As long as that website that hosts it stays up, it's there forever.
Was taught in school. How many of you have seen the movie Hidden Figures?
Figures.
Hidden Figures. Is that? I don't think I have. Let's ask the audience. Okay, we'll start a poll. Have you seen the movie Hidden Figures? Yes. No. Obviously, we need a turtles option. Start the poll. And then for $4.99, Roasting the Killer says, genetic load, the real thing, versus genetic entropy, the fake YEC thing. Do you realize how hard it is when creationists are talking about genetic load to not make dirty jokes?
No.
It's really hard to not do it every single time, because holy crap, is it the easiest joke. Like, it's a really easy joke. Like, genetic load, huh? Yeah? Yeah. I try not to, and I usually succeed, but boy, does it take a lot of willpower.
Kevin Costner and that lady whose name I forget. She's real famous now. She's in all the movies. A black lady.
She's real famous. Can't remember her name, though.
I mean, I forget celebrity names sometimes.
No, I just love that the movie's quite literally about black scientists and black female scientists. And he's like, yeah, I don't remember the black lady actress's name.
I mean, I don't think I saw it, so I definitely don't know who it is. Do you know who it is?
I'm pointing out the irony of this.
Okay, but what I'm also saying is, do you know who it is?
I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know that. We didn't say.
I don't
and
go
that
for biopics, and I usually don't go for, like, fictionalized history.
Okay, so you're not going to go see, like, Oppenheimer or anything, right?
I've seen it twice, but like I said, usually,
Okay,
not always.
fair enough.
I have seen very few fictionalized histories. And yeah, Viola Davis, thank you.
That's who she's portraying. Anyway, it's a story of these African American ladies who NASA was using as computers because they were really smart. And they're doing all the calculations to get us to the moon. It's a cool story. A little bit of, I'm not sure about the guy ripping down the no colored sign on the woman's restroom, but it was a nice, Anyway, that facility really does exist. And there's a guy, a couple years ago, he dropped off his wife at work, and as he's driving through the parking lot, he just looks in the woods and he sees a pile of rubble that they had dug up from the foundation and just thrown into the woods. He goes, So he walks over there, and he finds this rock about this big, and it's one of the world-class fossil discoveries ever.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with the movie or the actual story. Got it.
Mm-mm.
It was just a thing to tell us where it took place. Okay, sure.
And yeah, Christine, I'm with you on this. Uses as a computer sure is a phrase.
I mean, that was their job title. Like, literally, that was their job, was to be a computer.
I know you compute, but I'm just saying, like, when we hear that...
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that also was probably how a lot of people were thinking about them, too. Because, I mean, let's be honest, this is not the story of, like, black women getting their due for their scientific and mathematical achievements. It's the unsung story of people who did not get their due for their mathematical and scientific achievements. So
called hidden figures.
Yeah,
both
like,
in a reference to women and also the fact of the
math.
Numbers, like the pun.
So it's there's actually too much accuracy in his statement there. Which is not great. But I'm not going to blame him for that. I'm going to blame the dicks over at NASA who didn't actually credit any of these women with anything. Because they did kind of use them like computers. They were just there in the background to do some math so that the real work could get done by all the white guys. Yep.
In that rock, there's a sauropod footprint.
Okay.
There are pterosaur footprints. There's a nodosaur footprint, a nodosaur coprolite, which is fossilized dung,
You think he knows what a nodosaur is?
Probably not.
Okay.
and a nodophore osteoderm, which is a bone from the dinosaur skin. And in blue,
He's right. That is what an osteoderm is. Take a drink.
mammal footprints.
Okay.
That's cool.
I mean, I agree. I just don't know how it helps you. Because here's the thing, right? The crown mammals evolved in the Jurassic. Most of the big splits that we now see in mammals were in like the late Jurassic or early Cretaceous, right? And then modern, and that's talking about like the differences between like super orders and mammals, right? The differences in the orders mostly appeared at like the beginning of the Cenozoic. A lot of the modern families go back to like the Miocene. So like, no one has ever, I mean, mammals from the period of the Jurassic period is a long-standing thing that we've known about. Crown mammals, that is mammals that are true mammals, not things that are mostly mammal but not quite. Middle Jurassic. This is not controversial.
Fossils aren't just bones. This is fossilized behavior.
Yeah.
And we know all these things were living.
I mean, that's true. I'll take a drink for it, I guess. Oh,
I
and
mean,
hey,
I was going to
carnivore
be
frog.
pedantic and say they're mostly rock, but
Well,
I'll let him have that.
Look, I even refer to permineralized fossils as bone because
Yeah, I mean, they're in the shape of bone. It's fine. They were bones at one time before they were permineralized.
I'm not going to go full on Cicina on fossils, even though technically, Also, Carnival Frog, 5 Dark Dinosaur memberships, and went to Supercritical Snake, Liska Day Babbitt, Steve Weber, Queer Toadstool, and JMCA Does Lifts. Also, Queer Toadstool, sorry, I almost messed up that name because it's all kind of run together, and so I was like, hold on, how do I? Oh, okay, word divisions, got it. I don't know why I'm apologizing since I didn't screw it up, and I just almost did. I don't know.
We're getting corrected that it's Octavia Spencer, not Viola Davis.
Oh. I mean,
like
again,
I said, I
haven't
didn't
seen
see
it,
so I
do like her
taking your
name,
word
though.
for it.
Octavia's a great.
I like Octavia Spencer because she's an Auburn grad.
Okay.
War Eagle. Yeah.
I mean, actually, that does make more sense in terms of being in more movies because I do think she's in more movies recently than Viola Davis was. She's more of a she did a lot more shows, didn't she, than movies?
I mean, Octavia Spencer, she has a theater background, and she's been doing more work in the last several years, but Viola Davis has mega hits. Like, I mean, if you saw The Woman King, holy crap, Viola's got like a massively successful career.
Actually, didn't see it in part because of the ironic whitewashing of the horrible slave mongering of the protagonists that was set very inappropriately as if it was just something that they felt like they had to do and they didn't want to, even though the characters historically were like they were. I was
interested in The Woman King because of the epic like battle scenes and stuff, and the costuming was amazing. So,
but like these actual historical characters, we have letters from them and like historical records. They were trying to pressure England to keep trading slaves. They were not reluctant slave traders. They were very convinced that the only reason that they had any political or economic power was because of the slave trade, and they were not coerced into it. They attempted to coerce Europeans to continue the slave trade when the Europeans were like, nah, man, we're done. They're like,
Yeah.
no, you're not. We won't sell you rubber if you're done with the slave trade. What about that?
Yeah.
And the Europeans were just
History,
like, okay.
Maine. It's messy.
Yeah, the story of the Atlantic slave trade is not the story of evil white people. It's the story of evil white and evil African people doing a whole bunch of evil stuff.
Henson as Katherine Gable Johnson, Octavia Spencer as Dorothy Vaughan, and Janelle Monáe as Mary Jackson. Janelle Monáe was in that. That's right.
Okay.
Holy crap. Love her.
Did I take my 5 drinks? I don't think I did.
I don't know. I'm not keeping up with it.
Yeah, I did not. So here we go. 5 drinks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And Rosana Keller from 199 says, pretty sure coprolites are not footprints. That is true, although I don't think he's talking about coprolites. I do think he's talking about footprints. We're going to get a little bit more in with the footprints, and then we're going to get out of here because we're pretty much done for the day.
Living at the same time, they walk through the same mud puddle.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, so his entire point so far is pictures of dinosaurs don't always include non-dinosaur animals that were alive at the same time as the dinosaur. Therefore, what? Scientists are lying to the public about mammals despite publishing papers about Mesozoic mammals? Like, what is the actual point you're trying to get to? No one is hiding that there were mammals in the Jurassic. It's just that they're not that popular. No one really cares that much about Rapenomanus robustus, right? Because people like dinosaurs. Like, feel free, ask your average 6-year-old boy how many dinosaurs he can name. Cool. Then ask him how many triconodonts he can name. It's going to be basically none, and it's not because they're hidden. You can just go look them up. If you want to get the 6-year-old boy in your life triconodont toys, you can, but he's probably going to be more enthusiastic about the dinosaur toys.
That's a throwback. Dr. Don Hogg, Mud Shovel. That's a
All right, we're going to get
back. Nice.
Get a little bit more in here.
Okay. 10 minutes. Let's go to the question, did birds evolve from dinosaurs?
Oh, easy, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are dinosaurs. Biggest. Also, apparently 57% of people have not seen that movie. 19% said turtles, obviously. And only 23% have seen Hidden Figures. Okay. Rosa Keller says, don't really ask a 6-year-old boy. I mean, if you know a 6-year-old boy and it's appropriate for you to ask him whether or not he's heard of Rapenomanus, I don't think it's a problem to ask. He's probably just going to say no.
It's a valid question. We hear it all the time. But let me ask it this way.
Okay.
Because we're going to get to the question of did dinosaurs have feathers?
Which is also a yes, but okay.
Does the Bible say dinosaurs did not have feathers?
The Bible doesn't talk about dinosaurs, you twerp.
So therefore, technically, the answer is no.
Good grief.
No. Bible doesn't say anything like
It's true. It doesn't. I'll take a drink for it. It's true. The Bible does not say dinosaurs had feathers.
Come on,
that at all.
Robert. I got
So if
3
dinosaurs have
squares left on my card till I get a blackout. Let's go.
feathers. I don't care. I'm a geek. I want to know.
You care so much, man.
No,
you
you don't.
talk about it so much. You care. You just
He is
want it to be
lying.
no. Heather T.S. Kuhn was my cousin Kuhn. For $2 says, I knew about Mesozoic mammals in the 1970s. Yeah, it's not new. I mean, if you had been alive in the 1850s, you'd have known about Mesozoic mammals in the 1850s. I'm thinking that number slightly out of the top of my head. It might actually be a few decades after that, but Mesozoic mammals were discovered around the same time as dinosaurs were being entered into the scientific literature. It was because they lived at the same time. People were investigating the same rocks that had the first mammals for fossils, and they found both dinosaurs and mammals. This isn't news. We've known about Mesozoic mammals for about as long as we've known that there was a Mesozoic, because their fossils are right there.
But if they do, okay. It's not a big deal.
That's one of the things. I don't believe him, right? Because there's so much evidence of feathered dinosaurs. You've seen some of it in person. I was with you when you saw it in person.
Yeah.
As I remember, we were up on
And
that
I was
mezzanine level.
check it out. Look at those feathers. And I got really excited and took a potato collie photo of it.
So obvious, too. Like, you can't look at that skeleton and be like, well, I don't know, those might not be feathers or anything. And you look at the skeleton, it's definitely not a bird skeleton. There's no one who would call that animal a bird normally. And yet, despite all of this overwhelming evidence of non-birds having feathers that are dinosaurs, here's Robert Carter like, well, I don't really care, but I think the answer is no. Like, dude, if you didn't care, then you would just accept the amazing mountain of evidence of non-bird dinosaurs with feathers.
When did we go to the museum? Was it in the summer? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was April. That was spring. So
Okay.
I'm gonna take a picture, take that picture and post it in the Discord. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
But I'm going to show you a
Bonus
bunch of
material.
ancient birds first.
Oh, the Watsine, which is a modern bird, not an ancient bird.
Vaccine.
I don't...
There
What does
you
he
go.
mean by ancient? I'm just going to take a drink.
And we have to come to grips with something. A lot of ancient birds had teeth, had claws on their wings, and have a flat breastbone.
Still, some of them have claws on their wings.
None of them have teeth.
Just
But also, what about the long tail there, Robert Carter? You're not mentioning the long bony tail?
You've eaten turkey and chicken. There's a keel right there on the breastbone. What it does, it makes a triangle, and it makes the muscle stronger and helps the bird to fly.
I mean, it is a muscle attachment point for, like, muscles that are for the downstroke. That is true. It's a weird way to describe it the way he did, but okay, sure, whatever.
A lot of ancient birds had a flat breastbone, but there is one bird in South America. It's called the Hoatzin.
Is it called the
Watsine.
Hoatzin? Yeah, it's called the Watsine. Look, I get it. He's probably not a native Spanish speaker. He probably doesn't speak much Spanish at all. But
you know what? Just because I'm being greedy, I'm gonna call mispronouncing scientific terms on the card. So let's go.
fair enough. Do you want me to keep going until you get a blackout, or do you want to actually cut this? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
hey
and
guys,
there's not that much longer. Let's go, go,
we're
go.
going late today.
They have fully functional wing claws.
What does that mean?
Fully functional wing claws.
I'm afraid your friends will find that this wing claw is fully operational. I'm just gonna take a drink. I have no idea what's happening anymore.
And they have a flat breastbone. Wow. They don't have teeth.
I actually don't know if the Watsine has a flat breastbone. Let's find out. Watsine skeleton. Nope, it's got a keel. Jeez, man. Come on. Why do you have to lie about this?
Ugh.
Oh, I hate it so much. I mean, look, I'll pull up a picture and we'll show it to y'all. What the... oh my goodness, this is a gigantic picture. Alright. Give me a second while I pull this picture up and put it up on
I'm
screen.
afraid your friends will find these wing claws are quite
Hey, guys.
operational when they arrive.
What's this? Is that a keel on the breastbone of a Watsine? Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Why are you lying about this, Robert? It doesn't even, like, help your case for you to lie about the breastbone of a Watsine, and yet there it is. I get it when creationists lie in a way that if it were not a lie, it would support their position. I get that, right? That makes sense to me. I get why you would lie about that. Why would you lie about the Watsine and having a keeled breastbone? How does the Watsine...
Why would you lie about the Watsine?
Well, I mean, yeah, just generally. But, like, why would you pretend that it doesn't have a keel on its breastbone when it very much does? Now, granted, I believe that that is something that is less... yeah, when it hatches, it has barely a keel. But by the time it's an adult, it has a much bigger keel. But that's pretty common in birds anyway. I just don't get it. Yeah, that was the skeleton of a Watsine.
Teeth. But they share a lot of similarities to some of these ancient birds. In fact, that thing is the size of Archaeopteryx.
Which isn't super big, but
It's
okay.
just the size of a crow. Do you know how many damn birds there are that are roughly the size of a crow? It means
A
nothing.
lot.
I'm gonna take another drink. This is gonna kill me.
You gotta wonder. Now,
No, you
I'm gonna
don't.
also have to talk about beaks versus jaw. Do you know what the difference between a beak and a jaw is?
Yeah, a beak is a bit of keratin that grows on top of the jaw. The jaw is the entire structure, including upper and lower jaw, and many things have jaws that don't have beaks, and nothing that has a beak doesn't have a jaw.
Look,
That's not a mammal, that's a dog.
a bird can do this. I can't move my upper jaw.
That's cranial kinesis, not having a beak, you massive moron. Jesus Christ, I'm taking another drink. Okay. Not all birds have extensive cranial kinesis. Paleognathe birds like ostriches and emus and whatnot have extremely limited to no cranial kinesis.
Literally, my brain showed me a projection of an ostrich, and I was like,
But you know what? Ostriches have beaks. You know what else has beaks but no cranial kinesis? Turtles. Having a beak has nothing to do with cranial kinesis. You can have cranial kinesis and no beak. You can have cranial kinesis and a full beak. And you can have a beak with or without cranial kinesis. These are not the same thing. And also, the degree of cranial kinesis in birds, again, varies greatly. Parrots have absurd amounts of cranial kinesis. Ostriches, more or less none. Also, Crypto457 says, does Robert think a beak a separate part and works like a crab claw?
honestly, that I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't, though, because a crab claw, like, one part of the claw is actually fixed, which is more like your jaw than it is like a bird jaw. Because, remember, a crab pincher is actually, the pincher, the part that moves, is actually the last segment of that appendage, and the part that it opposes is actually just an outgrowth of the previous segment.
Just a little pinch.
Little pinch.
Just a pinch. Has he
But birds can.
pinching you?
So a diagnostic feature of birds is a beak.
Okay, then I guess Archaeopteryx isn't a bird because it definitely didn't have a beak. It also had more or less no cranial kinesis beyond what you have, Robert Carter.
Feathers? Wings? It's actually hard to say.
It's actually not that hard to say. There are a number of synapomorphies that birds all share, like pigostyles, fused metatarsal bones, the keeled. Well, actually, the keel term isn't technically of birds, but like the fused bones in the manus that create the sort of clubby bird wing thing. Like these are all actual synapomorphies of birds. When you combine them together, you can say that anything that has all these traits is a bird. It's just that they also have all the traits of dinosaurs. Strawberry Visible Taxidermy Glue Vein for $10 says, I think he's trying to say that primitive traits aren't actually primitive and therefore can't be used as evidence of evolution. That's how that lie helps him. Okay. All right. I guess I can see why that lie might help him. Fair enough. Also, how is that your fifth super on a live stream? Is this a new Strawberry Vein account? I noticed it has a different avatar or picture, profile picture. I can't imagine how this is your fifth super on a live stream because you've super chatted on my live streams way more than 5 times, which thank you very much for. Or maybe this isn't the real Strawberry Vein. Maybe it's an imposter.
It's a Jaime Maussan fake.
All right, here.
Because there's nothing preventing God from if he made ostriches, or maybe ostriches lost their flight, it doesn't matter, but if he made all these different animals that are in between all these other animals, God was brilliantly genius. He created mammals that fly, bats, mammals that swim, whales, and mammals that walk, everything else. He created reptiles that fly, pterosaurs,
Roberto. How is it that young Earth creationists say there aren't any transitional forms, and then you got up there and said, hey, if God created these animals that look like they're in between two other animals, that's genius, actually.
Oh, and Vadim Slamovsky-Radchenko has the best conspiracy theory. Maybe it's Otangelo trolling us. Yes!
Not enough spelling errors to be Otangelo.
Oh, apparently Strawberry Vein says it's a weird glitch. It's been saying it's their 5th super chat every single time they super chat. Weird. Huh. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Tell Me More says, well, if ostriches lost their flight, then that means evolution happened.
It does mean that, yeah.
reptiles that walk, dinosaurs, and reptiles that swim, mosasaurs.
I mean, and sea turtles and sea snakes and, aquatic iguanas and penguins. By the way, birds are reptiles. They are, in fact, reptiles, which means that birds are also reptiles that fly.
So, painful.
What's preventing him from creating birds and dinosaurs similar to one another. In fact,
I mean, the thing is, if you accept the premise of creationism, then nothing, which makes it weird that you're denying that birds are a group of dinosaurs, right? Because every single reason that creationists give for why birds aren't dinosaurs works just as well to say whales aren't mammals. Which also, by the way, I have noticed that whales are like a thing that just creationists cannot wrap their heads around, and I do not get why.
Yeah.
Just today, I uploaded, I think, my third or fourth video, I think it's actually the fourth video, in which creationists just fail to comprehend whales entirely. And I just don't get what it is about whales that is just like a reliable creationist baffler. But like apparently creationists are just physically incapable of understanding the first thing about whales, and it's very confusing to me. Because whales are cool and complicated animals and all that, but like they're not magic or anything. It's not that hard to understand how whales work.
But looks like fish, but is mammal? How does science?
Yeah, basically.
if you look at the bone structure of birds, they're highly similar to a specific group of dinosaurs.
So highly similar that they have all the characteristics of that group of dinosaurs.
They're not similar
Highly
to
similar to my parents, by the way.
Weird. Could that be because you're descended from them?
Related?
Oh my goodness.
turtles. They're not similar to alligators. They're not
I mean, they're more similar to alligators than they are to turtles, but okay.
similar to Brontosaurus. They're similar to a specific subgroup of dinosaurs. They cluster with dinosaurs. But you know what?
Just like whales cluster with mammals. You just admitted it, Bobby. Oh, I'm taking a drink.
We cluster with apes.
Oh my goodness, you're right, Bobby. I'll take another drink. I wonder why it is that humans cluster with apes. It couldn't be because humans are apes, could it? Oh man.
Okay. Keep going.
At least humans don't have that Y5 tricuspid molar arrangement that all apes have, and it's a characteristic of apes, right? They don't have that, do they? Oh wait. Yeah, no, they do have tricuspid molars.
I don't think we evolved from chimpanzees.
No one thinks that. No one thinks humans evolved from chimpanzee.
But we are
Yes.
eukaryotic, vertebrate, mammalian.
Primates, you can say it. You're primates. You're hominids, which puts you in the ape family. Yeah, you can say all of those things. Also,
Keep going, Bobby.
Kyle Pratt for 199 says whales, intersex people for fundamentalists. Yeah, I mean it's similar where fundamentalists just do not understand that intersex people are a thing that have existed since before humans were a thing. And it's like, no, not a thing. It's like, okay, sure, I'll tell my...
He's about to say something real dumb. I have a feeling.
Oh, yeah. But also, anytime anyone's like, oh, intersex people don't exist, I'm like, dude, I am personally acquainted with people who have at least various intersex conditions. They definitely exist. Unless you want to tell me that some of the people I know just don't.
You know, we cluster with animals and then vertebrates and then mammals and then
hominids.
Apes and then chimpanzee. So
yeah, didn't mention the other hominins, but yeah, we do.
What?
So that's how taxonomy works, my dude. If you cluster with a group, you're part of that group. Whales cluster with artiodactyls. They're in the group. Humans cluster with apes because they're apes. Clustering with a group and being a part of that group are basically the same thing. Roastin' a Keller for 199 says, I'm a proud catarrhine monkey. Yes. It's like saying insects cluster with crustaceans. Yeah, because they are crustaceans. I don't know what you want from me. Spiders cluster with arachnids. Yeah, that's because they are arachnid. If birds cluster with theropods, guess what? They're theropods. You don't have to like it. You don't have to accept the evolutionary implication. But it's true.
That's just God doing it. If you looked at all the works of Rembrandt or all the works of Picasso, you'd be like,
Creationists use actual living creatures and not inanimate objects in your analogies. Challenge!
Here's the thing. Also, you cannot actually put Rembrandt's drawings and paintings into a nested hierarchy because there's multiple ways to cluster them that are mutually contradictory. because they're designed. Because designed things don't fall into objective nested hierarchies. Unless they are designed to look like they weren't designed. So for instance, if we take like created languages, you know what language family Klingon or Dothraki belong to? None. Because they were made up by two different guys out of whole cloth to not connect anything. However, what about Tolkien's Elvish languages? They actually cluster into language families. You know why? Because he designed them to act like real languages that had actual familial relations. So, also, if you look at like a speculative evolution project, like you look at Serena, right? Which is one of the more popular ones out there. There are clades that you can actually draw where there are nested hierarchies. Why? Well, because it was designed to mimic non-design. The only time designed things fall into objective nested hierarchies is when the designer is trying to make it look like he didn't design anything. So what you're telling me right now is that God is basically saying, no, I want it to look like I didn't design anything. But I totally did, though. And if you don't believe that, that might be bad for you in the same way that it might be bad for you if you didn't have any mobsters protecting your business. We wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you now, would we? Okay.
Like, this is Picasso's sunflower phase. Oh, this is when he was painting something else. And you could classify his work in
but not into a nested hierarchy.
Groups. It's a natural thing that any human does.
I'm drinking for
and
this.
We have the ability to separate things into groups automatically. We can just look at things and separate them.
Those actually end up comporting with reality. Because you know what? Pareidolia exists, Robert.
Mm-hmm. So it's a sign of...
Oh, my goodness. I just somehow closed it. What just happened? I think it just deleted itself from existence. Have you? But also, I was going to ask, how do you not have a blackout at this point?
Because he hasn't mentioned Darwin.
Oh, I don't know if he's going to. We might have to finish the entire thing before we get there.
Dang it.
Do you want to actually finish this entire thing? Because it's me like 2 more hours.
No, this is so freaking dumb. I can't.
Okay, well, should I open it back up or should we just call it? We can pick back up later.
This is so frustrating because like all of us are waiting on him to mention Darwin and he just isn't.
No, I don't think he's going to. So what do you want to do? Do you want to call it or should we just watch the entire rest of this to see if he gets to Darwin?
I don't want to watch the rest of this right now.
Okay, well then we're going to call it.
Chat,
everybody.
What say ye?
Oh yeah, we can have chat decide. All right, we're going to start a poll. Do we keep going until Darwin? Yes, no. Start that poll. You guys only have a few minutes because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put us on an intermission. I'm going to grab myself a fresh drink, and if we decide to keep going, I'll use that as my drink that I take drinks from, and if not, then I'll just drink it afterwards. Also, Cookies Riot for $2 says Picasso's paintings didn't asterisk. Yeah, no, you're right. They didn't. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that quick intermission. I'm going to freshen this drink, and we'll be right back with the results of the poll, and then either we'll be gone, or we'll be sticking around for who knows how long. And it's all Vishanti's fault.
It is not...
Okay, we are back, and it looks like, as of now, the answer is yes. We will
But
continue.
it isn't a 2/3 majority, so it doesn't pass.
I'm sorry, that was never part of the deal here. You should have said that beforehand. Or are you just quitting on me, despite the fact that 54% of these 71 people who voted want us to stick around until Darwin comes up, or until this video ends?
It had to pass by 2/3 majority.
No one said that.
Excuse? That's Congress rules.
This isn't Congress. I'm not the one who suggested that we put this up here for a vote. I was just going to go with whatever you wanted, but then you were like, no, let's do a vote. And here's Nita quoting Chancellor Palpatine, one of the great statesmen of our time, saying, I love democracy. And he's also the one who told us about the fully functional clause. So
Wow.
the only option we have at this point is to continue on. Also, I think my somehow part of my
Yeah, that is the
yeah.
Vish veto.
So
yet-
it's a sign of creation that we have this hierarchical structure, but it also matches
Oh my god.
Yes, the thing that is only explained by either deceit or non-design is in fact a result of design, making God a liar. I love it. Let's go for that. Yeah, sure. Taking a drink for that one.
evolution. The hierarchical structure of the tree of life fits both theories.
Yeah, well, it does as long as you're okay with God being a lying asshole. If that's how you want your God to be, then yeah, sure, I guess it fits.
So it's not proof of evolution. It's not disproof of creation. It's okay, it is what it is. Okay. Confuciusornis. Notice the wing claw, the long tail. Oh, by the way, birds don't have tails. You know what
They absolutely have tails. What are you smoking, dude? What is happening right now? Also, chat seems to be all screwed up, and I don't know why. It's not always like. Here we go. That's
So-
better. Taking a drink for birds don't have tails. Do I have to bring up another bird?
There's some
skeleton?
disagreement that because Jillian made a point in the chat that it counts
What's it?
for the bingo, and I don't know about that.
What's it?
Well, Jillian was making a point about something Robert Carter said, and went on to say, "Hey, that wouldn't have happened if Darwin
When did he
were
say that?
da 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 da." So, in the chat, Jillian was referencing Darwin, and they want to count that as the bingo, and I'm like,
Jillian referencing
no.
Darwin doesn't count. No. Unless we do a video in which Jillian Wren is, in fact, the creationist, it doesn't count. You can't just get bingo triggers by typing the thing that triggers the bingo in the chat yourself. That's cheating. Yeah. I don't allow that.
That's the end of a chicken. There's a little nub there. It's called the pygostyle. It's just a couple of bones. Next time you eat chicken, look at this rear end.
Hey, Robert Carter, what's anterior to the pygostyle? Is it a whole bunch of caudal vertebrae that are free to move? Could that possibly be what it... Yeah, that's exactly what it... Goddamn, I hate this man so much right now. Taking a drink. Birds don't have a tail. Dude, you have a tail. Birds have more of a tail than you do. I cannot believe this right now. This is an absurd amount of dishonesty about birds, and I just don't get it.
A couple of
What do you
bones.
think
And
peacocks are?
Sorry.
I can't.
Yeah.
if a bird have feathers, it's just long tail feathers.
Yeah. If you see a bird that looks like it has a long tail, it is true that most of that length is feathers. But that doesn't mean birds don't have a tail.
But dinosaurs had
What do they
tails
call
with
them?
bones
Sorry?
Tail feathers.
Yeah, they're not butt feathers. They're tail feathers for a reason.
in them. Birds don't.
Okay, but what about Archaeopteryx? You can point that out?
Clearly, the feathers are preserved. That's a bird. This is Hunxionornis longcresta. There's a beak. There's tail feathers. There's long wings with feathers.
Yeah?
Okay.
Is his point just that birds evolved from dinosaurs before the non-avian dinosaurs went extinct? Because, yeah, everyone knows that.
This is Anchiornis huxleyi.
It's Anchiornis because, Greek. But, it's like when people call that Hebrew letter Chet. Oh, I knew you were going to have that reaction. Oh, what, you don't think there's a Chet letter in Hebrew? Happy Chanukah. It's just like all that.
Literally, when Christian apologists say the word Chet, I'm like, nah. You know what? You're an idiot. I will reserve every right to make fun of you for being an ignorant ass. Chet.
Yep.
Hey, can feathers be preserved in a fossil record?
Yes.
Sure enough.
Okay, cool. I guess we agree
More
on that.
feathers.
Take a drink.
More feathers. Oh, this is a cool one. The only fossil bird ever found with an egg inside.
It is cool.
But when you look at the egg on the bottom left there are multiple layers of eggshell.
Okay.
If you stress a bird and don't let it lay the egg, it'll keep on adding more shell.
I don't actually know about that, but I think it's true.
Oh, that's so cool. So this animal that died in Noah's flood didn't die right away, but fought for life for probably a couple of days before it was finally overcome and died, and the egg
How long
reflects
does it take him to add extra layers to a shell?
At least days. It's not that long. Remember, most chickens lay an egg daily, so they can make an eggshell in a day. So it's going to take a few days. But also, do you think birds might get stressed by things other than global floods ever? Okay.
Predators?
So is finding a bird that was under stress before it died evidence of a flood on its own?
No.
No. It's definitely not evidence of a global flood. Roasting a Keller for $4.99 says, clearly feathers are only on birds. Time to genetically modify alligator scales to be feathers. Yeah, that's the thing, is you can do that. It's been done. So I guess that would make those embryonic alligators birds, I guess? And then Nathaniel, 3,000-year-old Neolithic granite gray. Oh, says Godzilla, gotta make the extension worth it, and we'll take a drink for Godzilla. Thank you. Hey, at least with the extension, we'll be more likely to get more feeders. Speaking of which, where are your feeders? Are they off in protest?
We're overtime, so.
Oh, okay. So wait, does that mean if we get over the feeder number, then you put them back on? Or do you say that for next time?
I would say that.
Okay.
Here's another one. I know this doesn't look like much, but look, he's got bird feet, feathers. Now, you can't quite see it, but in here is the bird lung, and I want to illustrate something important. Bird
Strawberry Visible Taxidermy Glue Vein for $5 says, that's not a tail, that's just a few bones that extend past the pelvis. Oh. Yeah. In case anyone's watching who doesn't get that, that's just literally what a tail is. Oh.
lungs are radically different than reptile lungs.
There's no such thing as a reptile
Press the lung.
Right? Reptiles have multiple different lung styles within them. We have crocodilians who have a hepatic piston, which means that their liver goes up and down, which compresses and expands their lungs. We have most lizards, which have lungs that are expanded by contraction of and release of muscles that attach from the spine to the rib cage. So the ribs actually move in and out to power their lungs. We have turtles that mostly use buccal breathing, where muscles in their throat actually push air in and out from the throat with the muscles there. Also, many turtles can do this thing called, cloacal respiration, which is just breathing through your butthole. That's a thing. Good for them. I can't do that, so hey, good for you guys.
Is that why you hate pelagic tunicates so much? It's because you're jealous?
They don't breathe through their buttholes. I
figured it out.
They don't breathe through their buttholes. That's turtles.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. It's all fine
have
now.
no idea
I
what's happening.
understand.
I said turtles, not tunicates.
Okay.
Tunicates don't have a particular respiratory system.
Now.
They don't
it's
need
all
it.
clear.
They
you
just
know what?
absorb it.
It's fine.
Diffusion.
We're good. We're fine.
Bye, Vishanti. But also, we actually do know that many dinosaurs had avian-style respiration that were not birds, like Majungasaurus, a close relative of Carnotaurus, which no one here would call a bird, I would hope. Vishanti, you saw that Carnotaurus skeleton when we were at the museum, right? What do you think, bird or not a bird? Just eyeballing
Not a bird.
it. Not a bird, right? But did you know that its close relative, Majungasaurus, was found with evidence of an avian-style respiratory system, including thoracic, cervical, and limb air sacs, and a rigid lung system?
Neat.
And I don't think I would call that a bird. Crusher the Croc Score for $2 says, "Hey Dapper, what kind of lungs do you think I got?" So Crocsagore has always struck me as being sort of like crocodilian. In fact, especially the older models really look a lot like crocodiles. So I would hazard to say that Crocsagores have a hepatic piston, much like crocodilians. But then again, like the Warhammer Fantasy lizardmen are always like a weird conglomeration of sort of like reptilian tropes. So it's hard to say. But that doesn't make them not my favorite faction in Warhammer Fantasy Battles. In fact, long before this channel started, I had an army of lizardmen way back in like 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And I did actually once get a no-hitter against an Empire army of equal point value, where they did not cause a single... No, they caused one wound, but they did not take a single model off the table of mine. And I routed or killed every single Empire model on the table. And my opponent was pretty disappointed, but hey, I didn't roll those dice. He rolled those dice. He failed every single armor save. Yay, lizardmen. And yeah, I know now they're called the Seraphon, but you know what? I don't care. They're lizardmen. Just like I don't care about the Dwarden. They're dwarves.
We have a diaphragm.
That's true.
Reptiles use their liver. It's called a hepatic pump.
Jesus Christ, man. That's restricted to crocodilians, Robert Carter. I'm taking another drink for that. Hepatic pistons are only found in modern crocodilians. We don't know about ancient archosaurs for whom we have no evidence of their respiratory system. But lizards don't have hepatic pistons, snakes don't have hepatic pistons, turtles don't have hepatic pistons, birds don't have hepatic pistons, and yet these are all reptiles.
Birds don't do either of those things.
Hepatic pump is another name. He's not wrong to call it that. I just want to put that out there. Yeah, Pandora, I know that Lizardman and Dwarf are too generic to trademark. I just don't care. Right? It's like I'm never going to call the Imperial Guard the Astra Militarum. It's just not going to happen. I know Imperial Guard is too generic to trademark. I'm okay with calling the Space Marines the Adeptus Astartes because they've been called that for a very long time as an alternate name. But yeah, I don't like Games Workshop's like, well, we can't copyright literally everything. Dude, they tried to copyright the word pauldron. Luckily, they weren't able to. But like, yeah, I have my problems with Games Workshop. Games Workshop has some great lore. They have some great settings. But as a company, they're kind of an AIG. I'm just going to put it out there.
In fact, the air in a birdland, the reason we can't run a 1 minute mile is we cannot extract enough oxygen out of the air.
I mean, there's probably a few other reasons.
And I think it's a lot more complicated than that.
That's in the mix, though. Let's just say that. That's in the mix. That's part of it. There's probably a lot of other things in there, but sure.
The oxygen comes down into our lungs about this far and then has to diffuse down into the alveoli. And the carbon dioxide has to diffuse its way up. There's a dead space there, and we're just limited that way.
There's not a dead space,
Pretty
but
sure
yes,
there's other factors involved, but okay.
Yeah, the diffusion is in there, and it does have to diffuse in and out. I don't know, he's like 40% right, I guess, and like 20%, I'm not sure what you're trying to say, and then like another, I don't know, 30 or 40%, like, not really. Nathaniel 3,000-year-old Neolithic granite grave for $2 says, statistically, most pauldrons are employed by Games Workshop. That might actually be true. They may have produced more pauldrons in a wide definition than anyone else. Because those Space Marine kits come with a lot of pauldrons. And so do the, the Sigmarite Immortals or whatever they're called. I never looked into the lore for the new... That's not true. I looked just enough into the lore for the Age of Sigmar to know I didn't like it, and then I stopped because it was really bad.
Reptiles are even worse. They have even more inefficient lungs. But a bird has incredibly efficient lungs. There's no
Being a dick to reptiles, but okay.
dead space.
Mm-hmm.
The air flows out the bottom of the lung and goes around and comes up another way. So the first step in the evolution of birds from dinosaurs,
Why didn't they just turn off most of the lights? Do they not have regional control over the lights? Because I can't see what's going on.
No.
would be a
Maybe
whole
he can't read his notes without it. I don't know. But then again, no, wait, he's using a laptop.
Yeah, he's a laptop.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
I think it's just that they have one light switch for the whole room. And it was either
Maybe
all dark
so.
or all light. And in that case, I would choose light.
be poked in the bottom of the lung, and then the animal dies. The bird lung, in fact, there aren't valves and muscles. The air flowing through the bird lung is just based on hydrodynamics and fluid flow.
Okay. I'm gonna take a nice drink. I'm gonna try to calm down about there's no muscles. It is true that bird lungs are rigid and are not powered directly through muscles changing the volume of the lungs. However, bird lungs are in fact powered by muscles in both the throat and primarily the forelimbs as well as the abdomen, because there are abdominal air sacs, there are limb air sacs, and there are cervical air sacs. Neck. Cervix is Latin for neck, as well as Latin for another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Without muscle power, a bird will suffocate. If you put enough paralytic into a bird that all of its muscular activity shuts down, except for maybe the heart, it will indeed suffocate. Birds don't have some magical air pump that has no moving parts that just exists. Because that would violate the laws of physics, Robert Carter. Birds aren't perpetual motion machines, you idiot.
The shape and the size, and it just directs the air, and so between the light bone structure, the keel, the flow through lungs, that's what allows birds to fly.
It's part of what allows birds to fly. I'll grant you that. But it's not like animals that don't have that can't fly, as evidenced by bats, something you might have heard of.
Dinosaurs don't have those things. Dinosaurs are dense.
How do you know that, Robert Carter? Because here's the thing. We know Majungasaurus had it. And Majungasaurus is about as least like a bird as you can get while still being a theropod, which means that it's probably ubiquitous in all of theropoda. Or at least neotheropoda, right? So T-Rex probably had that. Velociraptor almost certainly did. Majungasaurus did, which means Carnotaurus probably did. We have actual physical fossil evidence of avian-style respiration in extremely diverse groups of theropods. Which means if you say dinosaurs didn't have that, you're just lying. Or you're too stupid to be giving this talk, and I don't know which one it is, but I sure would like to know. So Robert Carter, I know you occasionally watch my channel, because you've said things that you couldn't have said had you not watched my channel occasionally, because you've mentioned me a few times. You even decided to mention me without actually bothering to point out my name when you said, a critic corrected me about the difference between census population size and effective census or population size. So I know you watch occasionally.
Incredible.
Please let me know if you're lying or just a moron. I would be very interested to find out.
Okay, another question for you. Was there an age of dinosaurs?
It depends on what you mean, man. The Mesozoic was a thing. If you want to call that the age of dinosaurs, great. It's not like they were the only things alive, but they were the group of animals that were taking up most megafaunal niches. If you think that the group of animals that takes up the megafaunal niches gets to have an entire period named after them, then yeah, there was an age of dinosaurs. I don't personally think like we have to name ages that way, but whatever.
Was there a time when dinosaurs dominated the landscape?
Again, it depends on what you mean by dominated. There were going to be more worms than dinosaurs, but I mean, if by that you mean they were the ubiquitous megafaunal animals on land, then yeah, there was.
I remember seeing things like this when I was a kid and saying, well, evolution's true. Look at that. They got the whole family history of dinosaurs going all the way back from the Cretaceous to the Jurassic to the Triassic. And
Triassic is the first of those. You should say going back to the Triassic, and then from there to the Jurassic and Cretaceous, but it's minor.
And it all goes back to a common ancestor. Case closed. Evolution's a fact.
Which is
but
what a
can you see dotted lines
person would do, but okay.
here?
No, I can't see the dotted lines, man, because this room is too bright. I can't see anything.
Cover up everything they actually don't know.
Okay, I'm going to take a drink, and then we're going to
I'm
talk
too
about
sober for
Cladograms.
this.
Yeah, that's why I've been drinking. Why haven't you?
Let him play. Let him play
All
because
right,
I want
fine, I'm
to
still
hear
taking
the
a drink.
stupid before we
Oh.
demolish it.
It's 50 family sticks. You've heard of the missing link? There's missing links between almost every group of animal and almost every group of other animal in the whole fossil record.
Okay. The transitional species slideshow is currently up. Vishanti, would you like to give us like 10 or... There you go. That's good. Okay. When we construct a cladogram, which is a diagram of what we think the most likely evolutionary progression is, we are precluded by our methods from actually putting any known taxon at the node between groups on the cladogram, because we don't actually know if we have found the actual direct ancestor. Which means that what Robert Carter is currently doing is just emphasizing how little he understands how these graphs work, and then using his misunderstanding of how the graphs work as evidence that the science underlying them doesn't work. Which isn't how anything works. It's not how science works. It's not even how art works. Nothing about this is how this works. Further, there are indeed transitional dinosaurs, as have been seen in this slideshow, of which there were numerous, and it's over now. You can stop if you want to.
Okay.
Anyway, continuing on.
This is known in the 1800s, and it's only gotten worse.
What does that even mean? I'm just going to take a drink, because I have no idea what that could even mean. It only got worse. Okay.
Now, I'm going to draw red lines on top of these things and shove everything off to the side. This is the same data. Here we have the Triassic, the Jurassic, Cretaceous. It's all part of the Mesozoic era. These red lines are when they say dinosaurs lived. That's the mammals I just showed you, and that's the age range of the birds I just showed you.
This
Well,
doesn't
here.
mean people lived with dinosaurs, and it doesn't mean the Earth is young, Robert, you weirdo.
I don't even know where the mammals are. Oh, okay, the vertical extent of the yellow bars is where the mammals and birds are. Okay, got it.
Now put a question mark on the end of birds, because we don't have many.
It's true, they're hard to fossilize because they are so delicate and small in many cases.
Birds don't petrify very well.
Yeah, he's right.
But worse, I think this is the group that I was told in graduate school that evolved into birds, and I was told they evolved into birds at the end of the dinosaur era.
Well, then you were lied to. Archaeopteryx is the first known transitional species between basal theropods, or more basal theropods, and modern birds, right? It was found in the Solnhofen limestone Lagerstätte. Now, Vishanti, I've told you that birds evolved in the Jurassic. Would you care to guess what period the Solnhofen limestone is from?
What if I said Jurassic?
You would be correct. Which means that from our first fossil transitional between dinosaurs and birds, if we want to phrase it that way, we've known that the origin of birds was somewhere in the Jurassic. My apologies. I'm going to blame the rum for that one. So I don't know what Robert Carter was told. But birds evolved in the Jurassic, and if you want to be very specific about like crown birds, which I usually am, but in these cases I'm kind of iffy on that, then sure, you might be able to say that crown birds, the common ancestor between paleonates and neonates, might have been in the Cretaceous, but most people are happy to call like Enantiornithines and even Archaeopteryx and things like that birds. And if you're fine with calling those birds, then yeah, it was in the Jurassic. And that's been known for way more than a century. We're talking like 150 years. I'm sorry someone lied to you in college, if that's even a true story. I don't know what to tell you, though.
But birds overlap that group.
Hey, Vishanti. Humans are apes, right?
Yeah.
Now that means that humans came about after all the apes went extinct. That's why there's no gorillas, no chimpanzees, no orangutans, and no gibbons, right? Those are all extinct and they went extinct before humans evolved?
I mean, yeah, it's exactly why there's literally no Europeans left, because Americans are descended from Europeans.
Exactly. I mean, hey, humans are mammals. Robert Carter already admitted that. That must mean all the other mammals are extinct, right? I mean, if humans are mammals, then why are there still mammals? I'm just going to take a drink for Robert Carter, who knows, by the way, that if humans evolved from apes, why are there still apes is a bad argument. I'm going to take a drink for him just using it with birds and dinosaurs, because apparently, when you switch it from humans and apes to birds and dinosaurs, suddenly it becomes a good argument, I guess. But he still hasn't mentioned Darwin.
So if birds evolved from dinosaurs, when?
The Jurassic.
The paleontologists might have run out of time.
What does that mean? What does it mean for the paleontologists who have run out of time? I'm going to take another drink because I don't even know what that means.
Using the paleontological numbers and their own...
Yeah, the paleontological
numbers.
Their own system. Oh, by the way, have you ever noticed in Jurassic Park that almost every one of those dinosaurs was Cretaceous?
Yes, I actually have noticed that. He's
Wow,
right.
no one ever has mentioned that.
I mean, to be fair, most people who aren't big dinosaur nerds don't mention it, but yeah, they're mostly Cretaceous. I think Jurassic dinosaurs that were in there, like Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Allosaurus shows up in some of the sequels, so I guess that one. But yeah, most of them are Cretaceous. It's true.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I guess that there was no point to that. Just continue on.
All right, man.
This is from the cover of Science magazine a couple years ago. It's a rhinoceros-sized mammal.
Hey, is that a science journal?
It's not, and not only was that not a science journal, that wasn't a mammal. That was a dicynodont. Dicynodonts are not mammals.
Derpy Mister says paleontological. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so actually, I think I might be able to find
exactly
that.
It.
January 4, 2019.
Let it play.
Well, no, I want to find this
play.
cover. Science magazine, January 2019. Because this isn't a mammal, and I want to like drive that home. Yeah, this is it. So let me open this in a new that on full display. Oh. All right, there we go. Okay, let me put this on screen for everyone. That's not a mammal. That is a dicynodont with a beak.
How many mammals have beaks?
None. Not a single
Weird.
mammal has a beak. This is a dicynodont.
Oh.
It is a
Just
synaptid,
checking.
which makes it closer to a mammal than a reptile. I'll grant you that. But that is not a mammal, and calling it a mammal is just a lie, and I'm taking a drink for it. I know, because I have seen this exact magazine cover. Sorry about that, that show up. Dapper's a professional drink right there, so there's 2 drinks. Yeah. Creationists love that magazine cover because they think that's a mammal. It's not.
It's a rhinoceros-sized mammal.
Not a mammal.
From the Triassic.
Yeah, that went extinct at the... Well, actually, that group, the Dicynodonts, didn't go extinct until towards the end of the Triassic. But, whatever.
So no, small mammals only didn't live with dinosaurs, and mammals didn't start radiating after the dinosaurs went extinct. That was...
Then maybe you should have shown a big mammal instead of a big Dicynodont, Robert Carter. Because no one is calling Dicynodonts mammals. They're not even Mammaliformes. They're not mammals. Now, they're closer to mammals than most other things are, right? They're closer to mammals than Dimetrodon is, which is already closer to mammals than it is to reptiles. But they're not mammals. Mammals have distinct actual characteristics that you have to be a mammal. For instance, you have to have only one jawbone per side, the mandible, right? Dicynodonts don't. They have the full basal tetrapod jaw with a syrangular, angular, a quadrate, and an articular bone in their jaw. They don't have a dentary squamosal jaw joint. They have the articular jaw joint, like reptiles still do, and also like amphibians still do. You need to have other things, like you need to have a division between your thoracic and lumbar vertebrae. Instead, Dicynodonts just have dorsal vertebrae, and they have ribs the whole way down. There's multiple other things I could mention in the skeleton, but that would just mean that we would be here all day talking about mammal skeletons. Dicynodonts don't have the things that make mammals mammals that you can recognize in the fossil record. Did they produce milk? I don't know, but I'm guessing that since they had beaks and it would be pretty hard to suckle with a beak, that probably not. Because can you imagine how much it would suck to have someone suckle on you if they had a beak? Also, you know the reason mammals have, like, weird movable wormy lips? It's so they can create a suction around a teat. Can't do that with a beak.
The story we were all told. Mammals lived with dinosaurs the whole time dinosaurs lived.
No, they lived in the Jurassic. Mammals actually finally came around in the sense of crown mammals. But if you want to say synapsids were always around, then sure. But synapsida isn't synonymous with mammalia. Taking another drink because this is really starting to piss me off. This is why I only go 2 hours normally. Because now I'm starting to become actually angry.
Someone overrode my Vish veto.
That's because you never established a Vish veto or what the margin was. You should have done that beforehand.
I'm very happy about that. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Let's
happy.
end up with, in 5 minutes.
I mean, we got 7.5 minutes left, but whatever.
Did dinosaurs have feathers?
Yes.
This is Sinosauropteryx, the poster child of the feathered dinosaurs. Can you see that fuzz down his back and the fuzz on his tail?
Mm-hmm. You mean the fuzz that demonstrably has differences in color that create rings, which is why it's sometimes referred to as ring-tailed? Yeah, I can see those.
That's the feathers. Except,
Cross-platform adventures just realized another reason that echidnas and platypus can't have nipples. It's true, they don't have lips. Lips and nipples kind of go together. Yeah, I know exactly what I just said, and I do not take it back.
evolutionary paleontologist who does not believe that birds evolved from dinosaurs, but he's still an evolutionist.
Ah, yes, Alan Fiducia. Of course. We have... Why isn't Alan Fiducia on the bingo card if we're talking about dinosaurs?
Freaking right.
I blame Tapioca Weasel for this.
He looks at this under a microscope and he concludes that, I can see the skin and this fuzz is underneath the animal's skin.
Okay, here's a drink, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Vishanti, did you know that when people prepare fossils, they have to actually dig the fossils out of the substrate by using careful chisel work and brush work? And that. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the few things I do know.
Now, did you know that they tend not to extend this excavation work way past the fossil? They tend to keep it to just the fossil to, save time and effort and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Which, is pretty
fair.
reasonable, I think. Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure that from this, you could extrapolate that therefore there's a sort of outline of a depression around the actual fossil after preparation. And that the fossil really only exists inside that depression. Mm-hmm. Would it surprise you to learn that what Alan Fiducia and company were calling, quote, the skin, was actually just the depression made by the fossil preparators, and it was not actually part of the fossil? It's just something humans did to make the fossil a bit more visible?
That dipshittery absolutely does not surprise me.
Yeah, because that's exactly what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's another thing.
Yeah.
Alan Fiducia said that these were collagen fibers. Now, you might or might not know this, but collagen does not have melanosomes, which are the organelles that cells called melanocytes produce that produce coloration, like your hair. Your hair is colored dark because of melanin. Collagen fibers don't have that. Would it shock you to know that these fossilized feathers have preserved melanosomes that we can see under scanning electron microscopes? And we can even tell that they are specifically the kind of melanosomes that in modern animals make reddish or rufous melanin. Meaning that this animal, we know it to have been reddish, like rusty red, with white stripes and a white underbelly. Which kind of
Also,
just kicks the whole
I
fiber
love what
idea
Dr.
right
Don
out.
Hogg in the chat says. Yeah, regarding monotremes and beaks, and that's why platypus don't have nipples, is monotremes do body shots!
It's true, yeah. So, in case you guys don't know,
They do.
monotremes like echidnas and platypus, they actually have milk lines. So there's two lines that are homologous to nipple lines, which is another thing mammals have. They go down the torso on the underside of the animal, and there's basically just a bunch of glands on the skin that just secrete milk onto the fur, and then the babies lick it right off the fur. Yep. Now you know, because they don't have lips, so they couldn't latch onto a teat anyway. Impossible.
And I quote, "And it's obvious to anyone who looks."
Yeah, that is what Alan Fiducia said. Alan Fiducia is wrong. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Alan Fiducia is so wrong about this that it's hard to express the degree to which he is no longer taken seriously in this field, right? It's like, dude, that's not the skin that you're looking at. That's just preparator marks. And you know how we know? Because the actual fossil preparators came out and said, nope, sorry, I made that mark. That's not skin. I remember specifically making that mark with tools. And then when he's like, well, it's still probably just collagen fiber. And then people were like, nope, scanning electron microscopes have found melanosomes. Those aren't collagen fibers. That is as close to proof positive as you're ever going to get in science. Alan Fiducia is just wrong. These are integumentary structures that have melanosomes. They were sticking out. Now, you can argue all day if you want that, well, I don't think that makes them the same thing as feathers. Okay, great. But they're definitely fuzz that was on the outside of the animal that had coloration.
Why was it not obvious to the first paleontologist who looked?
It has... at the risk of owing myself a $10 super chat, it has fucking stripes, my dude. You think collagen fiber has stripes? That's why it wasn't obvious, because it's actually obvious in the other direction. Alan Fiducia is just a goddamn moron. That's not true. He's a liar.
A liar.
Alan Fiducia is smart enough to know better. He just chooses not to be better. Take one more drink.
Because they wanted to find feathers.
I'm not going to say they didn't want to find feathers, but if you want to say that they didn't find feathers, you're going to have to do better than the long debunked Alan Fiducia nonsense that was debunked about the same time it was published.
This is a T-Rex on a Velociraptor arm bone.
Okay, he corrected himself. I was about to do it, but yep, that is in fact an ulna, in case you're wondering. If you, like, Vishanti, could you hold your hand up? Now, we'll pull it back a little bit. I want to see your forearm, too. So if you put your other hand, put the, like, index finger along the outside of your arm, following the side the pinky is on. Yep, that's where your ulna is. So that right there, that's your ulna. The other one is the radius, on the other side, where your thumb is. Yep. Okay, now
and
we know.
when you do this, it actually crosses over.
It's true, yeah. The wrist rotation, they cross past each other. Which dinosaurs
I still have,
couldn't
like,
do.
recurring tendonitis from... because I played snare drum in the marching band, and we used the traditional grip where you're holding the stick upside down, and that rotation aggravated an injury that I suffered when I was in middle school, and I actually missed like a month of almost of playing
Ouch,
because
that's a lot.
yeah, it sucked. And that, you know, for a music major, that's not good.
No.
So especially when it's like your last 2 semesters and you're working up to a recital. So
Christopher Sanford for £10 says, paying Dapper's F-bomb fine. You swear away. This needs it. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
cheers.
That's rectangle there. This is a zoom up of it. And you see these little arrows here? They're pointing at little bumps that you probably can't even see.
I mean, I've seen them, but whatever, sure. They are there. He's right.
This is the wing of a turkey vulture.
Also true.
The feathers attached to the
Powered by
bone at the
spite.
But more importantly, it's the ulna of a turkey vulture, right? That's one of the things that's important about this. These are ulnar quill knobs, and that's the ulna of a velociraptor and the ulna of a turkey vulture.
I was
these
gonna put
places-
some wings.
Yes, do post wings, everybody.
They're called quill knobs. Birds that don't fly
Mom's a
don't
quill
have
knob.
quill knobs.
I'm going to need a citation on that. In fact, I'm going to double check. Ostrich quill knob with a K. Knob, fossil fit. That's the turkey vulture again. I don't actually know if this is true or not. I mean, ostriches have quills. Let's see if I can get an ostrich ulna. Ostrich ulna. Oh! One of the first things that shows up is an anatomical drawing of an ostrich forelimb, in which, yes, they do have quill knobs. Okay. Thanks, Bob. Take another drink.
Okay.
Dude, just stop lying about birds. Why do creations lie so much about birds? It's gonna drive me crazy one of these days, if it hasn't already.
Reason to Doubt and I are on the same page. When you said I needed citation, I literally thought for your mom's a quill knob, but
Oh my goodness.
same page.
Oh my goodness.
So ostriches and penguins.
I don't think penguins have quill knobs, to be fair, because they don't have quills, but I mean,
yeah,
ostriches do, and they do demonstrably have quill knobs, so, you know.
Oh, some birds that do fly don't have quill knobs, like albatrosses.
Really?
Also, I'm pretty sure albatrosses have quill knobs. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, I'm going to take a look at some albatross ulnae. What? Big enough that I can. Nope. Just saw a quill knob for an albatross that definitely has quill knobs. I mean, they don't look exactly like every other bird's quill knobs, but yeah, no, they're there.
I love this. Man, he's hitting just a huge lie quotient on this one.
Seriously, and it's like, you don't have to do this, dude. You could just not, right? Although I will
remember
say,
one off the top of his head, and then when he guessed, it was wrong. Love that.
From what I'm seeing, albatross quill knobs are certainly extremely reduced compared to most. So I'll give him that at least. Albatrosses are way closer to not having quill knobs than most birds are. So I mean, there's something there.
Because this is what happens is the feather attaches to the bone with a tendon and a muscle, and as the muscle pulls on the bone, every time the bird like flips his feathers out to take a landing or something like that, it does stress on the bone, and this knob develops. So if non-flying birds don't have them, and some flying
I mean, except that it seems like they do, but okay.
birds don't have them.
Except that it seems like they do, but okay.
Nobody believes a velociraptor could fly. Why would the velociraptor have quill knobs?
Because it probably had feathers anchoring it, and it was using those feathers for purposes that involved stress on the bone that wasn't flight. Just like ostriches do. You think ostrich quills don't pull on the bone? Of course they do. Ostriches use their feathers for display and balance, which means that they pull on the bone. Which means that if they're attached to the bone, which they are, they're going to cause stress,
Dapper.
which those osteocytes are going to produce knobs on top of. What's up?
Dapper, Dr. Don Hogg, xenobiologist at large, is informing us in the chat. Yes, penguins have ulnar quill knobs, also known as remedial papillae.
These tuberosities have been found in some non-volant seabirds, including modern penguins and Cenozoic pletopterids. You know what? I'm going to take a drink for that one. Thank you very much, Dr. Don Hawk, because I didn't know that. And that's pretty cool.
Nothing but net
independent
from
of
half
us.
court, baby.
Yeah, I love that my audience has enough people that like there's like, oh no, wait, I do know the answer to this. Hold on. Let me just put it in there. DM artificially selected Ceratopsian wing for $2 says banditry is still a weird hill for YECs to die on. Turtle. Yeah, no, it really
Weird hill
is.
to die on, but at least they're dead.
Well, and by the way, banditry is B-A-N-D. It's capitalized because it stands for birds are not dinosaurs, which is the bandits are that group of quote-unquote scientists that includes Alan Fiducia and the people who have surrounded him, like Lingam Soliar, which is a really weird name if you know what any of those words mean.
And yet there's these tiny little bumps. Maybe they had quills. I don't know. I know the T-Rex didn't.
Yeah, that's true. But Microraptor did, and it's in the same family. In fact, Microraptor we have body fossils of with feathers. It's in the same family, right? Saying Velociraptor didn't have feathers, but Microraptor did, is just like saying foxes had fur, but wolves don't.
We have skin impressions and skin fossils of T-Rex from various points in his body.
And they're all scaly, but they're also all from the places that are least likely to have feathers. So it's still an open question. I personally don't think that adult T-Rexes had feathers. I can't be as sure about juveniles. But again, we still have plenty of area of the body of a T-Rex that hasn't been sampled, like the top of the thighs, the back, the nape of the neck, and those are the areas most likely to have feathers. So did T-Rex have feathers? I don't think so, but I can't actually say no. I can only say I don't think so.
A scale, I mean, I got scales on my skin. It's just...
Do not have scales on your skin, Robert Carter.
Scales on your skin, oh my god.
Taking a drink. The fact that your weird glandulous mammal skin has some folds and crevasses in it doesn't mean that it's scales. Scales are an
And
actual
that you need to learn
structure.
what lotion is.
Well, yeah. But scales actually grow from placodes as distinct bits of the skin. The folds in your skin are not from placodes, so they're not scales. You know what you do develop from your own placodes that you have in as an embryo? Is hair follicles. Well, teeth actually have a different structure.
I was thinking of scales because, anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a bump in the skin.
Not just a bump in the skin. It starts out as a bump in the skin in the form of an embryonic placode, but then goes on to further develop and extrude things like keratin that your normal skin doesn't do in that way. That's why your hair is distinct from just your skin, and in fact, your hair is the thing that's homologous to reptile scales there, Robert Carter.
I knew Don Hogg said that saying Robert Carter's ashy.
Feather is more like a hair.
In that it's still basically an evolved scale. Okay, I'll grant you that.
It grows in a shaft, and it grows out of a hole in the skin, and then, unlike a hair, a feather is actually a hyper-complex hair because it unfolds.
It's not a hair at all. It's not even made of the same chemical.
Hair
but, okay.
isn't as a hyper complex hair. Did I just hear that?
No, he said
correctly?
feathers are a hyper complex hair.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
If there was feathers on a T-Rex, there'd be
Wow.
holes in the skin, and there's no evidence of that.
Except if the feathers were in the parts of the animal for which we have no skin samples. Because remember, all of our skin samples for T-Rex are like not even a square, like it's not even 10 square centimeters. Now, Vishanti, I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the T-Rex had more than 10 square centimeters of skin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I also think that that's probably what happened. Which means, have we sampled enough of T-Rex skin to actually be certain whether or not there was any feathers?
Hey, here's all of a T-Rex. Okay.
The whole thing right
and
there.
This is our little segment of skin that we found. Is it possible that there are feathers in that segment, like the rest of the segments that, you know,
Exactly.
we haven't found yet?
Okay. Maybe dinosaurs have feathers. I'm unconvinced. That's my main point.
Oh God, if he pulls out freaking Mark Armitage, I'm finishing this drink and getting another one.
But what if I can show you that dinosaur fossils cannot be millions of years old?
I mean, you can't, but okay. Go for it.
If they can't be millions,
Oh my god, it already says Mark, Armitage, and Anderson. Okay, I'm finishing this drink. Look,
I don't know how much longer I can do this.
I'm not going to go through the Mark Armitage thing. Here's the thing about Mark Armitage as I continue to drink. We're just going to add, like, I don't know, 10 drinks. Mark Armitage did not take proper controls with the extraction of his fossils. He did not take proper in situ photographs of his fossils. He did not properly document the site with a map to determine where he got his fossils. He did not include in his paper that he published in a microscopy journal, mind you, not a paleontology journal. Nothing against microscopy, but it's not the same science as paleontology. He did not actually do an anatomical analysis to justify his identification of these bones as Triceratops horridus. He just said it. Now, why is all of this significant? Well, there are other fossils that are frequently found in the same areas that Mark Armitage were working that have historically been confused with each other. Some of them have been confused for Triceratops bones, and Triceratops bones have been confused for their bones. It's a species called bison latifrons, which, as the name implies, is a relative of bison, the American bison or buffalo.
Buffalo, buffalo, buffalo. Buffalo, buffalo, buffalo.
It's true.
Buffalo.
Now, you might say to yourself, okay, I've seen a buffalo. Their horns are pretty hard to be confused with Triceratops horns. And I agree. Bison horns are never going to be confused for Triceratops horridus. However, bison latifrons horns were like 4 feet long. And they have historically been confused for this. Now, he also has variously on camera shown his quote-unquote Triceratops rib that he found associated with this. I checked the cross-sectional shape of both Triceratops and buffalo ribs. You want to know which one it was closer to? Buffalo.
Yeah.
It was closer to
Nice.
buffalo ribs in cross-section. And when he was confronted with this, his claim was that it couldn't be bison horns because bison horns don't have a bone core, which is false. He's thinking of rhinoceros horns, which do not have a bone core. That's true. Bison horns very much do. There is no reason to conclude that these are not Pleistocene buffalo horns. And Mark Armitage's only counter to this, so far that I have seen, is to not know what the anatomy of cow horns are. That's what he's got. Which means I'm skipping ahead past this nonsense about dinosaur soft tissue, because by just citing Mark Armitage, you have given up any credibility, because Mark Armitage has no credibility. He has the absolute worst attempt at paleontology I have ever seen in my life. I read his paper. It's absolute trash. This is just Schweitzer. Look, here's the thing about Schweitzer. Mary Schweitzer, Dr. Mary Schweitzer, did tests to determine whether or not she could find a mechanism for the preservation, the essentially indefinite preservation of cross-linked proteins, which is what she found. The answer was yes. And she found it in a plausible mechanism that could occur in fossils. That's it. That's all there is to that. Is this just him making a commercial?
much.
No, yeah, that's him doing a commercial. Okay, so we're done. I'm going to finish off my drink and we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Eres un pendejo.
Yes. Or I'm sorry, C.
Y un payaso.
Anyone who ever brings up Mark Armitage to you should consider that person to have removed themselves from the realm of reasonable discourse. That is not a person who is arguing in good faith. Because Mark Armitage wasn't arguing in faith, because he couldn't do the bare minimum to actually make a paleontology find. What he failed to do was provide this thing called provenance. And we've talked about provenance before. It occurs in art, it happens in archaeology, and in paleontology. And it is being able to trace something back to its source so people can check to see if what you're reporting is accurate. No provenance means no find.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you take, say, like an arrowhead from the ground and you take it home with you, it is now archaeologically useless. Now, to be fair, I mean, there are literally billions of arrowheads out there, so it doesn't really matter that much if you take an arrowhead home. Like, whatever, it's not a big deal. But it is useless for archaeology. Similarly, if you find a fossil and you just take it home, it is now useless to paleontology. Now, in some cases, just like with the arrowheads, that doesn't matter much, right? Like, there are trillions of trilobite fossils out there. If you take home a trilobite fossil from somewhere, it's not going to matter much. But unless you carefully document where you got it, it cannot be studied by science because no one knows how to put it in its proper context. And Mark Armitage did exactly that. He did not sufficiently document his finds for us to even know that it's Triceratops. And yeah, anyone who mentions him in a positive light is just a grifter. All right, guys. Originally, we were going to do Power Rangers tonight, but that's not going to happen because I'm not going to watch any. I'm just not doing it. We've already gone past the time we normally would have been.
I have to take a very long nap because, honestly,
but I want to say
with this guy.
Yeah, but hey, on the bright side, that means we have something new to go over next time. So, there's good and bad, and also it means I have to change the name and thumbnail for the next one because I already have it down as Creationists Can't Understand Dinosaurs with Robert Carter on it. So I have to change that.
No regrets.
Hey, you have regrets. You know you do.
I don't have regrets.
You do. I don't believe you. All right, everybody. With that being said, though, first of all, Vishanti, you have anything you want to tell people about for your channel or just anything else?
Debating starting a Patreon and sharing the information that I learned in my history class that I'm taking, and possibly some book reviews or whatnot as I go through material for stuff like that. So let me know if that's a thing you want. If not, whatever. Cool.
Okay. What's coming up on this channel? So, we have on Tuesday, let's see. We should have Matt with Maddie coming up. I do not currently. Oh no, I do. It's Climbing Mount Stupid. Oh wait, no, it's Kent with Bent next.
Oh yeah, and the fish list.
Yeah, the fish list.
If you feel so inclined.
On the 13th, that is going to be Move Along Hovind, Kent with Bent 131. It's indeed based on Move Along Home, the best episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine to have ever existed, obviously. If you don't know what Move Along Home is, I can't recommend that you actually watch it. It's really bad. But I will say it is an important character moment for Quark. It's the moment that he stopped being just an unlikable troll and became a character who actually obviously cares about his friends and has more depth to him than just being like the dick in charge of the bar. So I will say it is a big character moment for him, and without that, Quark would certainly be a less likable character. So I'll give it that. That's on Tuesday. I don't know why I spent so much time talking about the Star Trek part. It's just the name and the thumbnail, but whatever. Then we have the next David Gottlieb or David Gottlieb, depending on which source you're looking at, video that is called Misapplying Math Means Evolution is Wrong. David Gottlieb, Incoherent Shouting Moron, part 2 of 3. That'll be on Thursday at noon. Well, noon Mountain Standard, which is 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then on Saturday, hopefully we'll be back. Unless you got something on Saturday. I know one of these Saturdays you got something.
My calendar real quick. Stall for time. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well,
the 17th. No, I'm good.
Either way, I'll be here with a new video, which means I have to start watching creationist videos to see which one's good enough to actually use. So, if you're someone who prays, pray for me. Because I could definitely use some divine assistance on this one. But that brings us to a week ahead of time, and otherwise, I'm going to get out of here. And if you are a channel member or a patron, thank you. If you're a channel member or patron, there's a new video for you to watch right now. You could watch it. It's 51 minutes and 59 seconds. I called it a 52-minute video, but I technically cheated you just about a second when I said that. My apologies. Also, Stephen, name I can't fully read yet, G. Clinard says, Shap 3... Stephen G. Shinar has definitely seen Move Along Home. Oh, goodness. Just remember, my friends, Ala Moraine. And that is what I will leave you with. Alamarain. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Bentovend, Phil Javara, Tapioca Weasel, Whispers, Denny5252, Eleron Teller, Horseflesh, Ian Chen, Landon Knoll, Mabbity Babbity, Monkey They Them, Robert Carpenter, Sphincter of Doom, Vollus, Eddie McCoy, Ita V, and Strawberry Vein. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.